Taldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller and drama, and arts. For 5 years and with over 280 weekly episodes and 64 million plus downloads, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals. It is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist no matter their age, race, ethnicity, or gender. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. We are all busy, but I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment and vote now. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all 3 of the categories: education, storyteller drama, or art.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
News on the flip side. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program, which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as anchor host Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate The News on the Flip Side in the category of news and politics. That's podcastawards.com. Please take a moment and vote now.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying their afternoon, their morning, their evening, their night, wherever the hell you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. You know, I say this every Wednesday now for, oh God, more years than I want to admit to. This is where I want to be. This is where I like to be on Wednesdays. I like to come hang out with all our friends, all of our listeners, and see what's going on around the world, see how many crazy people are running loose and destroying things. And actually, Carly, no, that's Friday night. Yeah, we talk about all that stuff on Friday night. Oh, yes. Be sure to, just tune in. We're 9 to 1 usually. 9 to 12:30. It's about 3.5 hour show. It's supposed to be a 3-hour show, but it never ends on time. So it's really about a 3.5 hour show. We have a lot of fun. We talk about everything. Nobody is safe. We hate on everybody equal. We're an equal opportunity hater group. We hate on everybody. UFO Undercover is just a different kind of show. We're really here for more of research-based stuff to see what we can find, any truths that may be out there, wanting to know why some people are interested in this, some people are interested in that. Is there any proof to suggest that extraterrestrial may or may not be here? And if so, is there any in the past? I mean, you know, people always say, oh, well, maybe they just took an interest in us because we cracked a nuclear bomb. Well, that could be true, but more than likely it's not. Maybe a different race got interested in us when we cracked the bomb. But really and truly, there seems to be other things that's just hasn't been answered yet. Knowledges that seem to be beyond the period in several different places in the world. They got the O parts, which are out-of-place artifacts that no one can explain. Finding cogs and geodes that are 5 million, 10 million, 50 million years old. Really? How did a freaking cog get finding stuff? And they found cogs and wheels and all sorts of stuff in coal beds that they know are 30, 40, 50, some are even older than that. How'd they get there? No, they're embedded in the coal. Yes. You know, it's funny about that. If I guess if they stayed there long enough and they got compressed, maybe they would have got impressed in part of a diamond. Well, we find stuff in geodes all the time. It's kind of like amber. You find insects in amber all the time because they drip off the trees and get into the sap. And insects get caught, and you find them frozen in time from, you know, all periods. We found stuff in geodes. So this puts us in perspective. There was 2 batteries found in geodes. One of them is legit. One of them, I'm pretty sure, was a hoax. Something about the way the geode was opened just was really, really fishy. No, really, really, really fishy. It very was. But when you talk about out-of-place artifacts, there's lots of them on the planet, all over the place. And then there's things like the Pravda map. Okay, this thing carbon dates 120 million years. All right, first off, who was on the planet 120 million years ago? Anybody want to put their hands up? Anybody knows who was out there 120 million years ago? Really? I mean, I have a pretty good idea who was here 120 million years ago. I didn't think it was man. Even though some people do swear that there were men on the planet when the dinosaurs roamed. Hence some of the reports we read about today. Yeah, it's a long time ago. That's really the last of the dinosaurs. Maybe not the very last of all the dinosaurs, but most dinosaurs died out about 63 million years ago. Some of the arguments range from 54 million to 63 million. Take it or leave it. Most of the dinosaurs were gone by the end of that period. There might have been stuff that was lingering around, you know, deep in the ocean or like Loch Ness or things where things got caught down down in parts of Africa, the deep jungles in Africa, or the deep jungles in the Everglades. Places like that may have still been harboring stuff. Still, even today, may be harboring stuff. But for the most part, they're gone. 63, 54. All right, 55. We'll go with 55. 55 million years ago, they're gone. And then supposedly there's no man, us, we weren't on the planet until 53 million years later. Yes. So it took us 60, 55, 52 million years to evolve. So from the complete extinction of dinosaurs today, it took us 53 million years to evolve. Whatever we evolved from, it took that long to evolve into man. But after that point, we seem to evolve quite a bit in the last 2 million years. Well, first off, it wasn't just us. It wasn't the person that's here today. There was Cro-Mag, and there was 5 or 6 other types of man running around, and then there was a whole different type in South America. Matter of fact, there still is one in South America. Just skulls are shaped differently than everybody's else. So a whole group of people down there. So eventually, though, what happened, in order to make a healthy population of 8 billion, you had to start out, it couldn't have came from Lucy and her honey in Africa. That's an impossibility, because there'd have been inbreeding. And we all know, or most of us know, what inbreeding causes: either brilliance or ignorance, one or the other. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground with inbreeding. If you're breeding, immediate family, odds are what happens is it doubles everything, or actually quadruples everything. So all the bad stuff gets quadrupled, all the good stuff gets quadrupled, and a lot of times the bad outweighs the good. So you end up with a being that's worthless. So in order to get to where we are today, there must have been tribes of people around the world, not just 2 people in Africa. That's not going to cut it. They had to have been like groups. It's like everything else on this planet. Things tend to sprout up in different places. I mean, just recently, we've been finding new life all over the planet that we didn't even know. Hell, they finally caught a real giant octopus, one big enough to sink a ship, an old wooden ship for sure, a galleon. So these things have been hidden. They thought they were extinct or didn't exist. Now we know they do. They caught a giant squid off the coast of New Zealand, would easily pull down a Spanish galleon or something like that. Oh, yeah, wrap around it, rip that son of a bitch down. And even if it didn't sink it would pull everything off the decks, the mast, the people, leave it helpless floating in the ocean, punching holes in the side of it and just sinking it down. So it's, so we know no, they're not going to pull down no big steel ships. They'd even have a hard time pulling down a steel shrimping boat if all the hatches were closed, because it's airtight and it's steel. So it's a little bit different, but I imagine they could still do it though. Well, one thing New Zealand is famous for is giant squids and great whites. Other than that, it seems to be a very peaceful place. Maybe some extraterrestrial activity, but other than that. So anyway, we're digressing here. So let's get back on where we were. So let's travel. So if you go back 2 million years ago, everyone on this planet had become the men that are today were brown-eyed, brown skin, brown hair. That's basically what they were. There wasn't any real diversity in the species. Well, the mutations haven't come yet at this point. See, scientists don't even like to talk about this. No, but it is a fact. 2 million years ago, even 1 million years ago, everybody on this planet was basically brown hair, brown-eyed, brown skin. Even today, brown eyes still are like 84% of the eye colors. And it was even more than that just 2 decades ago. It was about 92% of everybody on the planet had brown eyes. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is there's a method to my madness. So even 1 million years ago, the beings on this planet were brown-eyed, brown-skinned, brown-haired. That's just what we were. Didn't matter where you were. That's pretty much what it is, because that's what the genomes allowed for. So we start well, no, there was different colors of brown. There was no white, like as we think of white today. It was none of that. And there was a lot of other things that weren't there anyway. So, but regardless, you have this. And then somewhere between 30 and 60,000 years ago, out of the blue. And oh, by the way, there was no Rh negative blood prior to 60,000 years ago. Actually, prior to 40,000 years ago. So man wasn't even really born into what man is today until about 40,000 years ago, because Rh negative changed the game. It changed everything. Rh negative is the universal donor, while O negative is the universal donor, which means everybody can take it. It's also where all of our hematological research comes from, because O negative is the purest form of blood known to man. So all of our hematological research comes from there. So without this Rh negative popping on the scene 40,000 years ago, we would have still been that brown-haired, brown-skinned, brown-haired, Rh positive people that shared 2% of their genome with a rhesus monkey, which is probably whoever came and created the Sumerian race. That's probably what they used originally, was part of a rhesus monkey. But Rh negative doesn't have that, by the way. So Rh negative people, in case y'all didn't know this, y'all do not have the rhesus monkey gene. So technically, you are a different species than the Rh positive people. Oh yes, they don't like to talk about that either. because that 2% is what makes the difference. Well, that 6% is what makes the difference between man and dolphin. What 7% between man and banana. So 2% is a significant amount of DNA, and we don't share that with them. Rh negative are different. It's not just that. When you look around at the world, you notice that Rh negative people have different attitudes, are looking at the world differently. And wait, without Rh negative, they wouldn't be blue or green eyes and all the shades that go with it, because the Rh negative was a mutation. It wasn't a normal thing. It was a mutation. Remember, Rh negative kills babies. Okay. And until recent times, you had to go get a DNA test before you could marry somebody, because if you were Rh negative and Rh positive, you couldn't breed. The babies would more than likely die. So they would tell you, no, you can't get married. Somewhere after that, the anti-Dingen gene shot was invented. And because of that, then people today, probably starting in the 80s or maybe even 70s, could start having babies with Rh positive, Rh negative people. But before that, they couldn't, which is another proof to you that they were separate species. So, we may look alike, but they're not the same. Rh negative people and Rh positive people, like I said, do not share that 2% rhesus monkey gene, which makes them a different species. It does. Plus, they could not have babies together. And what does that mean? So people, Rh negative and Rh positive people, could not have babies together. We force that issue through technology. But without that technology, they would be stillborn. So that does mean 40,000 years ago, an extension or a separate species of the original species became the better species, actually. Anyway, I see Leah just popped in, so let me drop her in with us. What's up, Leah? What you doing, bad person?
Hi, I'm just sitting here.
Evil youngin.
I'm not evil.
Evil youngling, yes. She's my Padawan, people. I call her youngling. Yeah, she's only like 25 or something.
No, I'm not.
She's a pup, man. I got shoes older than her.
That's silly.
And so how you been? You good? Anyway, we get back to what we're talking to. I know JC's going to join us sometime along the line. He texted me a while ago. It's Leah Dunbar and Jay McNichols will be joining us in a while. Jay McNichols is a co-host with us on Friday night. So is Leah on News on the Flip Side, which is what you heard. Go vote, go vote, go frickin' vote. No more runner-up shit. I mean, I got like 5 runner-ups, guys. Come on. I feel like the girl not getting the flowers. I mean, Jesus. Give me at least a win here. I mean, News on the Flip Side does good. No, we didn't put US on the UFO Undercover didn't go up this year because when we were asked about it, we just don't have enough live shows this year. And we've been preoccupied with other stuff. Yes, with evil stuff. But anyway, getting back to where we were talking about. Oh, there's Jay right there. See, I got to stop again. Hey, Jay, what's up, baby? So bring y'all to up where I was talking about. I was talking about Rh positive and Rh negative people being different species for 2 reasons mainly. One, Rh negative do not have the rhesus monkey gene. 2%, which is with Rh positive share 2% of their DNA with the rhesus monkey, but Rh negative don't, which means they're separate species. Plus, they couldn't have babies together, which definitely means they're a different species, because if they tried to have babies together, they died until somebody invented a drug cocktail that allowed this to trick the receptors in your body to think, oh, they're Rh positive, when really they are Rh negative. So because of that, we can have babies now. But the point being is really and truly, they're 2 separate species. And no scientist wants to talk about this because that suggests that Mother Nature, for some reason, decided, you know what, you Rh positive people are effed up. We need an adjustment. Plus, I'm tired of seeing brown eyes. I want some blue and green and all kind of shades along the line.
Did you say Rh positive or Rh negative people are effed up?
Rh positive people are effed up. They're done. They're over. Their destiny is over with now. Have some Rh negative babies.
Built in, population control genetically, so that if we get too many people, then you start having failed pregnancies. So maybe that's why
well, think about that.
They introduced it, but how do they introduce it?
So think about that. Somehow or another, Rh negative got 15% of the world's population, and we both know in the beginning, all it was doing was killing babies. And there was so many miscarriages happening, and for no reason. See, people back in the day didn't know. They didn't know that your blood could kill your babies because it was a different RH type. No one knew that. That wasn't until, I think the 50s. No, it was earlier than that, like the 30s or something.
Probably 30s or 40s, yeah.
Yeah. So, but regardless, they figured it out. And once they figured it out, they're like, well, wait a minute. Well, how come RH positive are all fine, but RH negative people can't have babies with them because it kills them? But RH negative people can have babies with RH negative people. Well, yeah, I know, ain't that some shit? So as long as they're breeding with their cells, they're fine. Plus, remember, O negative is the universal donor. It's the only blood that can be given to everyone on the planet. And what's funny about that, because I won a bet with a friend of mine the other day, pissed him off too. He goes, no, Joe, AB positive, AB negative is most rare at 1.5. I said, that is true, except they can take O negative blood, which means they're at 8.5%. I said, because they can take O negative, but O negative can't take nobody but O negative, which means they are the rarest form of blood on the planet. Mm-hmm. Not just the rarest form of blood on the planet, but the most in-demand blood on the planet. And not just because it's a universal donor, because the type of blood is so pure that it's, yeah, you know what? If there was a royal blood, that's what they would call it, but that's not true. It had nothing to do with your royalty or anything. They just had to do with somewhere along the line, either Mother Nature or something else decided to intervene with the humans around 40,000 years ago and give us this mutations. And so that mutation turned into several other mutations, of which, of course, one is green and blue eyes and a different shades of eye color, which is another weird thing because the majority of, blonde hair and red hair and stuff like that. I'm not talking about like brown red people. I'm talking about red, but all those were mutations things that are, I guess I'm telling you, Mother Nature went, Jesus, this species is getting boring, man. We got to spice it up. And but anyway, so it does suggest that RH negative, RH positive people are slightly different, or definitely different. They're not the same as each other. They're not. I don't, because they're incompatible. Without the drugs, they're incompatible, which means they're different species. Only different species would be incompatible with each other. So somewhere along the line, we changed, and they're predicting in 10,000 years that RH negative will be at least half the population or more. So not only is it going to eventually it will grow the RH positive people out. But why? What is that? And I mean, it's think about this, people. 40,000 years ago, it was 0. Today, it's 15%. Actually, I think they recently said it was 17%.
But it sounds like something or someone is trying to repopulate the planet with just RH negative.
It is weird. Hey, Julie, how you doing?
So what would, say an RH negative and an RH positive person were able to successfully procreate. Which one is the more dominant, the negative or the positive? Like
the positive, because that's interesting because it should be the positive, because the positive is what attacks the negative and kills them. That's what goes on in the body. So when the white cells identify the negative cells from the positive, they attack them because it's a foreign body inside, and they kill them. They just kill a baby. It's not supposed to be there. It's not registered as compatible with the body, so it kills them.
It registers as a disease or an invading, foreign body.
Yeah, so it's to them, it's like having cancer. They're going to try to kill it any way they can, and most of the time they're successful. And now, by the way, though, from what I understand, it's not 100% fatality with RH negative and positive, but was like 90%.
It's up there, but then the ones that do survive, very few are 100% healthy. They've got issues, birth defects, and mental issues, and other things like that. So
that's why. I mean, they really did. I know you Z-Geners and millennials don't know this, but it was outlawed. You couldn't have a baby with somebody of the different RH type. It was almost, for a point there, it was almost like they were intentionally keeping them separated.
Well, they were, and you couldn't get married until you had blood tests to make sure that both of you were, compatible blood wise.
And it wasn't that long ago, because when I got married, which was 40 years ago, I had to get the blood test. and you guess what? We are different blood types. She's positive, and she was positive, and I was negative. So it was But right after that, and I mean, probably within a year of the time we were going to get married, they offered a shot and said, "Okay, you can just have this, and this will help you to." And then it worked, and I've got a perfectly healthy 38-year-old son.
With what type of blood? Positive or negative?
Positive. Yeah. So it's weird. So guys, I know guys get all bent out of shape about this. Yes, your son always has to have your blood type, but not your Rh negative factor, your blood type. So if you're O, then your son has to. And he turns out to be A, he's not your son. Hey Michelle, how you doing? I'm just telling you ahead of time. Yes, as long as he's O, it's good to go. But he can be the same Rh factor as his mother. Yeah, he doesn't have to be the same Rh factor. Yes. So in other words, yeah. So you're O, you're whatever, and oh, the baby's B or A. No, you got a problem. You go get a DNA test. I'm just, I'm not trying to make trouble for anybody's marriage or anything, but that's how that shit actually works. Yes, I know it is weird. Well, I didn't learn that because I asked the doctor. I said, well, wait a minute. He's not Rh negative. He's Rh positive. What the hell? And he said, oh, no, he's O, which is you. The positive just comes from his mom. I was like, oh, okay. I wanted to know, man. I mean, come on. And it was like I said, it was a different world back then. Today, all that shit's moot. It's not even offered as a shot. I think it's just part of the treatment or something they give you, or pills or some shit they give you now. So it's taken care of. But the reason I'm bringing all this up, welcome to the club, Michelle. So what reason I'm bringing this up is it does suggest something intervened with our evolution. Because I mean, for 1,960,000 years, we were this brown-haired, brown-skinned, brown-eyed race. And then out of nowhere, boom, it changed. And you can tell because certain countries like China and India, even in the 1800s, were surprised when they met people with blue eyes or green eyes. It was a real strange thing. And if they were born in their country, even today, it's still rare for you to see those color eyes in their countries. Well, they're brown eyes. What do you mean? I still think brown eyes are the prettiest. Yes. Sorry. Maybe the most, but I still think they're the prettiest. And I have green. A lot of my friends have blue. Yes. Actually, a lot of Rh negative people have green eyes for some reason. I don't know what that is. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Yeah. And when we talk about people who...
What about I don't know. I wouldn't quite call it amber because that entails like a reddish color to the hue of the iris. But what about, I think the closest way to describe it is like a tiger's eye color where it's like a yellowish brown almost, where it's not brown, like dark, like pitch black.
Yeah.
Brown,
so you can get all kind of shades. What's the one they call between green and there's one between hazel. Yeah. So there's hazel and there's the shades. See, that's the problem. When you say green eyes, the shades are green. I've got what you would call emerald green eyes. Some people might have lime colored green eyes. Green eyes, same thing with blue. There are so many freaking shades of blue eyes out there. It's ridiculous. You hear people talk about, oh, well, gray eyes. Well, that's just a form of blue. Or bedroom eyes. That's just a soft, easy to look at light blue colored eye. But then you have these intense dark blue, like you see in some of these movie stars with these deep, dark blue eyes. It looks like a freaking pool you're about to jump into. It just varies. And the same thing with brown. I mean, it's not quite as noticeable in brown as it is, but still there are different shades of brown all over the place. See, look, it looks like an alien looking at us, people. I'm telling you, it looks like a freaking alien. But sorry, when you get into these,
have like tears on my face. I've been crying.
No, don't be crying. It's against the law. Didn't you hear Joe Biden outlawed that? He said none of that shit in his country.
Anyone on this planet who deserves to cry it should be him because he's getting his ass whooped all up and down the politics scene.
We love him. I'll pray. Hopefully he's a freaking alien. He's going to go home in a couple of weeks. But anyway, John, the reason we're bringing all this up is because as you move forward, or let me say as you move backwards, so there's a timeline problem with our current history and other things on our planet. So we know for a fact that around 15,000 years ago, there were advanced civilizations on this planet. I'm not talking about like us. I mean, like, as at least as advanced as the Egyptians or more so, or like the people at Angkor Wat. These were advanced. And the reason we know that is because recent times, let's see, there was 2 sunken cities off the coast of India that were uncovered. They date back 15,000 years. There was ones off the coast of Japan that dates back a little longer than that. The one on each side of Cuba, the one with the giant pyramids, they think date back maybe even 20 or 25,000 years. The one on the other side dates back around 15,000 years. And it's strange that we have these cities, but we don't want to talk. We do every once in a while. We'll say something like, "Oh yeah, remember them cities we found off the coast of India?" And that's the end of it. You don't hear anything else about it. No. And for like 1 year, you got to hear about the coast of the sunken city off the coast of Cuba. And then all of a sudden, there was an internet shutdown. I kept a couple of the maps on one of my other computers. I actually post them from time to time. You'd have to probably scroll for a mile on my Facebook page, but they're on my Facebook page. It's you have these cities that were there that we were talking about. Oh yeah, the Archaeological Society was into it. The Canadian came down, met with the Cuban. They got together and set up a big resource. A friend of mine who drives the Yellow Submarine, he was there diving with them. That's how I got all my information. He would come in the chat room. We had a support group, UFO Alien Phenomena group. It was a support group for people who had experiences and didn't know how to cope with them. But anyway, he used to come in and tell us about all the shit he was seeing. And then, bam, they would put a gag on him. He came in. We would talk on the phone, or we'd talk in person. He didn't want to talk in chat anymore. And any open source, he just didn't want to talk. And all the stuff the internet was wiped for the most as they could get off of, because they can't get everything off. They can get a lot. It was pretty much wiped. And then it slowly and went out of the press, a little at a time. Boom, 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 till it was gone. And then nobody talked about it at all. It's been 25 years and nobody talks about it. It's a phenomenal discovery. Unbelievable pictures. We don't talk about it.
The problem is that these discoveries are also going to force mainstream academia to rewrite the history books.
And therein lies the problem. Yeah, we have much more than 6,000 years of history. And the reason I'm bringing that up is when you look at our history, and you think about RH negative, and you think about beings that may have been interfering. So we're going to jump into the Sumerian story, ladies and gentlemen. Sumeria is supposed to be 6,000 years old, with the oldest written language on the planet. You can argue the zero. They just recently found the Zero dynasty in Egypt, but anyway, technically Sumerians got the oldest written language, 6,500 years or something.
Yeah.
So, but then they have these stories. The Sumerians and the Dogon have these basic stories. So the Sumerians talk about this race, these people that look kind of like them, that came to Earth, and they said their words, came to Earth and built 2 great white dome cities. 2 great white dome cities. Yeah, so not just 1 city, but 2. That's how many aliens came to the damn planet. 2. So some people said maybe they were from Hollow Earth. Some people said maybe it was from here, from there, wherever. Regardless, the Sumerians talk about this. And then the Sumerians talk about the 7 creations of man, meaning the 7 creations of the Sumerians that were created by these people in this great white dome city. So the first part of the story goes that these aliens came here, or we'll just say these beings came here, whatever they were, and they built these 2 cities, and they created a sub-race, or actually a race just like them, but that could breathe the atmosphere to go out and work the planet. Well, that species, that race was like, wait a minute, we're just as intelligent as y'all are, except we can breathe the atmosphere. Why don't we create a slave race? So that's what they did. And they call it the 7 creations of man, which some of them were like dog head, bird. They tried all kind of weird combinations. And the last creation that they made was the man before us, the generation before us. So they look like us, not quite as tall, a little bit stockier. Oh, this is their own writings, guys. You don't have to take me at my words for this. This is the Sumerians talking about this.
7,000-year-old text. One of the other things that is said about the first generation of humans, there were 7 incarnations. They weren't allowing their slave race to breed on their own, so they could control the population.
Yeah.
Well, they got tired of having to, because the work was so bad, they kept losing workers, so they had to keep making new ones, which is a long process. You can't just clone an adult being. You have to clone the being and then, somehow fast track and make it grow really quick, or wait 15 years till it's fully grown. So they came out with the last incarnation of man, the species before us, and they called them the Adamu. And then people think that's where they get Adam and Eve from. Well, there was an Eve race, and I forget what that was. I think it was the incarnation before that. But Adamu was the first ones, meaning the first set of humans that could breed on their own.
Yes. And then as they went along, and they were still being slaves, they were still being told what to do and behave in themselves and not rebelling. And then the story takes a twist. The Dogon, which is a tribe which they think was a subset of the Egyptians before the Egyptians, actually, that lived in this mountain village in Egypt, well, outside of Egypt, but still in the mountains right around there. Now, these people were very interesting. One, they had advanced knowledge of our circulatory system. How in the hell? How in the hell did a 6,000-year-old tribe in Africa know anything about surgery? Not just that, people, they did brain surgery. And the person survived because it healed. And not only it healed really well, which means they survived for a long time. Some of the operations, they think the person lived 30 or 40 years afterwards. And this ain't us. This is actually science went there and did this for themselves. So, and remember, they don't have no written language at all. They pass everything down verbally, which is interesting in itself. So they talk about Nemos. Nemos is a reptilian, supposedly a reptilian species. Now, whatever was messing with the Sumerians looked like us. They were taller than us. Sometimes they had this weird white glow about them. That's why sometimes they thought they were angels and stuff. Also, their head was shaped differently than us. So if you looked at them face on, they looked almost just like us, except they had 6 fingers and 6 toes. But if they turned sideways like this, their head was about this long. It's almost, there's pictures of them, Egyptian pharaohs with the same head, which with science tried to say was a disease, but now,
Nefertiti.
So now it's seeming like maybe it might not have been a disease. Maybe they might have been tied in with one of the ancient races. So anyway, so we know this human race is there, and we know that they created these species to do whatever they needed to do on Earth. For some reason, and there is no explanation for this, on either side for some reason, reptilians started coming down to Sumeria, and which wasn't probably Sumeria at the time, it's probably something else, started stealing the women, raping the women, and bringing them back pregnant. So initially when I heard this story, I said, oh, well, they're going to look different because it's reptilians. No, I said, that's not what happened. They became self-aware. And not just self-aware, they became like, screw you. You go plow the field. There's a freaking 100 million of us and 50 of you. No, you go plow the damn field. We're not plowing the fields anymore. We're not doing this anymore. We're not going to be the slave race anymore. That was the start of the true species, us, that's here today. That was the start of our species. It's not the only time there seemed to be interference because, I've heard doctors talk about this. They really didn't think that there was A, B, and O in the first species and the one before the Rh negative got involved. They really figured that whatever created Rh negative probably was what created O. They're not sure about A and B, and they go back and forth on that because some primates only have one blood type. So it's just kind of weird to start off with. It also is one of the reasons to suggest that multiple blood types means we started in multiple places. But anyway, I'm digressing. When you go back into this and you look at this, so it looks like, according to the Sumerians and the Dogon, some reptilians came down. It's mentioned in both races, by the way. That's what makes it so interesting. Came down, took their women, got them pregnant, and brought them back. And when those children were born, they were different. As those children started interbreeding, Jay was talking about the first race that could actually have babies, those babies started being born, and they started being born differently. And those babies were the ones with the reptilian section in your brain. So, ladies and gentlemen, I love when I'm doing lectures. People say, Joe, we don't have no reptilian in us. I started laughing. I said, sorry, we did. No. I said, you got your cell phone on? You said, yeah. I said, look it up. And I said, not only that, read what it does for us. It makes us who we are. Without it, we'd be a little subservient. Let me kiss your little boot race. No, that's what we would be. This section is what makes us, it makes us want to explore. It makes us want to protect our family. It makes us really who and what we are.
It's the fight or flight module. It's logic, tactics, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So without it, we would just be this demure race, and we're not. So See, I don't know why Mother Nature would have interfered with that. So that's why I'm pretty sure that when we're talking about this is probably outside interference. Now, what gets me about all this, when people ask me why do aliens visit the planet, when we tell you why they visit the planet, because they effed up and they let us become way more advanced than we were supposed to be. We're supposed to be, even today, we're supposed to be this little subservient race that serves these other races that come to the planet. But the reptilians, for some reason, didn't like that idea. And by the way, you won't see any mention of the Greys prior till about 2,000 years ago. You will see the ancients talk about the reptilians and the human race. And sometimes they refer to human race with different heads and stuff, but they are the human race, human aliens.
So
And they
what's
always describe them with
what's
6 fingers and 6 toes. What's up, Eb?
what's significant about 2,000 years ago?
That's when Christ was born.
Bingo.
That's
So-
and allegedly he is an alien hybrid as well. So
Yeah, I lost a good paying job over that one.
I mean,
yeah,
I know that this is like a common thing that I always bring up, but there's something to it, in my opinion. I mean, there's
Of
something
course,
to
there's
it.
something to it. So, regardless of who or what Jesus was, somebody or something dictated, okay, so reptilians until about 1700 years ago were revered. If you go look at all the ancient South Americans and even the Mesoamericans and even the Native Americans, they revered reptilians. Snakes and stuff like that and lizards were part of the things. I mean, Kublai Kai is what brought the babies. He was the snake god, the sun snake god, actually. Or, I'm not saying his name right, but close enough. And yeah, so you got and they were sacrificing to these reptilians. It's not just them; they were all over our history in Egypt and Samaria, everywhere. They were part of who and what we were. Along with but there was only 2. There was the human aliens and there was the reptilians, and that's what was being reported and written in our history, and still there even today. Then all of a sudden, on an Egyptian hieroglyph or a petroglyph, is that what they call them? The ones when they're pictures.
it's a hieroglyph on rock. It's a petroglyph.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. So anyway, there's a picture of a gray, just a gray standing there in a group of Egyptians. And it's very clear. And then later, a little bit past, there's another picture with what looks to be a UFO, a helicopter, an airplane, and something else. A boat, I think.
It looks like the land speeder from Star Wars that Luke Skywalker
Yeah, it
dropped.
looks just like the land speeder, actually.
Almost exactly, yeah.
It's kind of weird. At first, they tried to say it was hoax, and then the Egyptian government came and said, no, this is where it was. This is when it got found. As a matter of fact, you want to go see it, it's still there. And so they had to rule it out. It was no longer a hoax. So
I believe that panel is on one of the walls inside the temple at the Dendera area.
And then a temple not far from there is where they seen the big tubes that were this long that looked like they had an eel in it with a cord, that went out and which they thought was some type of lighting, some type of tube lighting. 5,000 years ago. I mean, come on, man. Where is this shit coming from? And then, of course, no one still can today figure out how the blocks got where they were in several locations. And, we always talk about the Egyptian pyramids, but there are other places on Earth like Stonehenge, Angkor Wat, and other places where this stuff was quarried many miles away and somehow or another got to where it was by rolling logs. Now, I'll tell you a little secret, people. You can tell where we moved them and maybe somebody else moved, and I'll tell you why. On Easter Island, you can see there's these big statues all over, but there's no trees left on Easter Island. You know why, people? Because they cut the trees down and made rollers out of them. That's how they moved the stones around on Easter Island. Easter Island is more like a hilly place anyway. It's not a big.
There's actually a new theory on why there's no trees there, because they've done plenty of experiments trying to move the existing moai with rolling logs, and it just doesn't work. It takes too many men, and there weren't that many people on that island. So one of the new speculations is that about somewhere 15,000, 12,000 years ago, around the Younger Dryas, the major flood, is that a wave or a lot of wind washed over the island, and if there were any trees, destroyed them, and then all the moai that were there were probably in other places, and they somehow got moved, sunk underwater, and buried. And when they think that's mainly how the bulk of them got buried up to their neck, is they were drowned under an ocean wave with silt and dirt that came down later afterwards.
It could have been something. So the trees, if that's how they would have got them, they would have found them petrified in other places by now. See what they found with trees now. But what they found, the reason they said about the logs, first off, they found logs that were 5 feet around. They were huge. Plus, there's several pits on the island where the logs were deposited later on when they didn't need them anymore.
There's one.
So they didn't even burn them. I guess they stored them.
Bottom.
Yeah, I guess they stored them for later use or something. Because I would have thought they would have burned them and used them for fuel or something. Fuel. Yeah, but they didn't. So that was just, or maybe there was so many of them. See, we don't know because most Pacific islands have a load of trees on them. A lot of times it's palm trees, but still, there's usually a buttload of trees on a Pacific island.
Yeah.
And it's kind of be out of place not even to have any. And even if they'd have been wiped out in this much time, they should have came back anyway, just from seeds and birds and other things. So
over time, they should have been back. Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole thing is kind of weird. Well, people, again, that's what we're talking about. There's big stones there, just like there is at Stonehenge, just like there's at Angkor Wat, just like there is at Egypt. I mean, there were things being moved around on the planet that were. I mean, look at the precision cuts on the pyramid. So, people say, "Oh, well, you couldn't cut like that." Well, you don't have to cut like that. You just have to get the initial cut and then let people sit there, maybe 100 people in each block sanding until you get the smoothness that you're looking for. Make it look like a precision cut, especially if you're fitting rocks together. They can be done like that. People forget that, so it doesn't necessarily have to be cut that way.
Look at it like this. This is how I like to look at it, and it's really, really scary. This particular thing right now, modern building, and you can attest to this. You're in construction. Modern building practices are that when they build a house, a home, an office, a mall, they have to try to get to within 1 foot of true square on that building. They never do it. They can never do it. Take a triangle, a 30, 60, 90 triangle, or 45, 45, 90 triangle. Take it to your house and go to every corner of your house. You'll find some walls where there's a little bit of play, where the triangle doesn't meet both walls in the corner. And then you go to another one where you have 4 or 5 inches of play where it doesn't touch out either side ever. That's our building standards. The building standards for the pyramids, those buildings are built to within 6 inches of true square. We can't even do that. How the hell did people with copper tools do that?
Come on, they mapped the planet, the precession of the planet to 2 degrees. It took us until modern science to do it. The Egyptians were brilliant. Well, it wasn't just the Egyptian people. Chinese were pretty brilliant at the time, too. It just, for some reason, I think a lot of China stuff was lost or didn't get made to the public because China were phenomenal astronomers, just like the Egyptians and just like a lot of the Mesoamericans. They had been doing astronomy for a long time. No, they're not as old as the Sumerians. It's a little weird. So when you think about China and Sumeria in modern terms, China's about 1,000 years younger than Sumeria was, which can be argued either way, to be honest with you. But in modern standards, that's what they consider it. And they actually consider Egypt to be older than China, but not by much. But those 3, and I guess India, those 4 are the oldest species on the planet. They are. According to them, everything on this side of the world where we live is moderately young and new, which doesn't quite make sense since all the animals were here, but there were no people. And I see there's a problem with that. And it does. And then there was a problem about the migration of the bridge. Well, no, but they always said we came over in a land bridge. But the problem with the land bridge was they had to come over much earlier than what they said.
So the land bridge thing is, and I did research on this in college, and I was proven right by the Human Genome Project. It wasn't a land bridge. It wasn't so that you could actually walk all the way from Russia into Alaska. It was more of a very long archipelago. So there was, several islands close together. So you might have to walk across a couple islands, then swim, then walk on an island and swim. But basically what happened with the Jomon people of ancient Japan and Korea is they took dugout canoes, just like the type of dugout canoes the Native American Indians used. They dug out logs, made them into boats, and they caravan from Japan all the way across the Aleutian Land Bridge, down in Alaska, down the western coast of Canada, North America, Central America, and the top third maybe of South America. And then their boats, they just followed the water the trails in the water, and they went right back across Polynesia, Hawaii, and all that, and then back to Japan. That's how they got around. They weren't walking across a bridge that was there for brief, especially when the tide's coming in. That bridge isn't going to be there when there's high tide. Period.
Yeah. Well, the only time they think the bridge was there was during the Ice Age, and they don't think it was there any other time. It's they actually talk about what you just talked about.
Out of the Ice Age, that 12,500. That's right when the Ice Age is beginning to recede.
Yeah, so this would have had to been the Ice Age before that one, at least 200,000 years earlier. See, that's what I'm saying. That they have a problem with when we actually got here, because if you go by current standards, they got here and went to building pyramids. Whoa, wait a minute! These guys were hunting Neanderthals. Now they're building pyramids. What just happened here? And what did happen to all the Neanderthals that came over? We know there was Neanderthals in the U.S. What happened to them? We also know saber-toothed tiger was in South America.
And
they say the jaguars. Yeah, that's what they say. The downsized to the jaguar. I'm like, okay, we can take that, I guess. Sounds like some bullshit. But anyway, the reason we're talking about all this is when you stop and look at our history, there looks like something or someone every now and then gave us a little kick in the ass, like a little jungle juice or something. Say, look,
either a DNA boost or a technology boost. The first DNA boost happens between Homo habilis and Homo erectus. Homo habilis are the ones right before erectus, and they had very simple tools, sticks and twigs, and they built very simple mud adobe style homes. Nothing elaborate. Then all of a sudden, there's no transition. All of a sudden, there's Homo erectus, who has advanced tools. They have axes, spears, knives. They're flint knives, but they're knives. And they build advanced houses on stilts, houses with 2 and 3 levels, houses by the shore, houses near forests and other food sources. So where's the slow progression from simple tool to advanced tool? There's no progression between those two species at all that we found.
See, and that's what gets into all of this. When we start talking about this, it's just, who was the advanced people who allowed this to go on? I mean, so you look at the Egyptians, and I've looked at Khufu's pyramid progression. That's interesting. I got to get that, from the built pyramid to the other pyramids. That is a true form of progression from to building pyramids, but he never built no monster pyramids like the ones at Giza. He just built everyday pyramids. He just didn't, I don't want to say everyday pyramids, but he didn't build pyramids like they did at Giza. Those things are monsters. And what's funny about this, people, is the one sitting off the coast of Cuba, all 3 of them are supposed to be able to fit in the small one in the 3 that are sitting off the coast of Cuba. Mm-hmm. That's a difference in size. Remember, the one side is sitting in 2,000 feet of water. The other side is sitting in 800 feet of water. And they still look massive when you're looking at them. And there are satellite imagery of them. But for some reason, again, the government don't want you knowing about things like this. They really don't want you thinking, and this has more to do with Christianity and Muslims and stuff like that, because the current Bible says civilization started 6,000 years ago. But it looks like it may have started 100,000 years ago, give or take. We know 15,000 years ago for sure, at the end of the last ice age and the start of current time, there was advanced people living on the planet, at least as advanced as they were in the 1800s. So
probably even more.
Right, it might have been more. And then, we're not even talking about sunken cities like Atlantis. No, we're just talking about, these are just cities we know of. And then we know of other cities in the Mediterranean that bit the big one either through volcanoes or through earthquakes and sunk in them, because they found 2 or 3 cities in the Mediterranean that are pre-Greek. So what the hell are they?
Listen to this. I got a shocker too. Just recently they found, and I don't know where, I just saw it briefly yesterday. They found soft dinosaur tissue. Wow,
that could be interesting.
With a skin pattern on one side, so that whatever, if it had an exotic pattern on it, like cats and dogs have exotic fur, that pattern is on the skin. Now, you go into Guatemala, I believe. Guatemala has a bunch of these clay pots and urns and stuff with humans depicted riding things like stegosaurs and triceratopses. And on these dinosaurs are patterns, circular patterns. Well, guess what's on this soft tissue? Circular patterns on the outside flesh side. So someone in Guatemala many, many, many thousands of years ago was riding dinosaurs, and they made pictures of it.
So that's what I'm saying. So we know that some of these species may have survived into, I don't want to say into modern times like today, but they may have survived. Some of them may have survived the last ice age. See, because there's been no definitive thing that said that all dinosaurs died at the Yucatan Peninsula when the great meteor hit. Yeah. They do think some species might have survived. They think that the ice age was probably the icing on the cake that killed the rest of them. That's what they think. But there may have been in isolated places, especially when you're talking about South American or African jungles, where there was no glaciers or anything, they might have survived. And humans might have eventually killed them. Just like I remember one time the teacher telling me, well, I don't think the humans could have killed a mammoth. I'm thinking, what? We're humans. We can kill any damn thing. And sure enough, we found out through bone scrapings when we found bones in South and United States that, yes, it was hammer and knives that were cleaning them and cutting them. That was modern tools or human tools. It wasn't like a fight or something else that killed them. So, and who wouldn't kill a mammoth? First off, it's a lot of meat and a lot of fur. Keep a lot of people warm and feed a lot of people. Just one of them.
One what?
Mammoth.
Oh, man.
We know humans hunted them because there's cave paintings galore all over, even in Europe, of humans hunting mammoth animals. And then there's the Siberian, I don't know where in Siberia, but somewhere in the Siberian frozen tundra, they found an entire herd of mammoth that were flash frozen. Some were still chewing food. Some had food in their stomachs. I mean, there's all ages, young, middle-aged, and old. But they're so perfectly preserved that you can go over to this somewhere in Siberia and get a mammoth steak because it's still edible.
Well, that's where they found a variety of daisy cup that's extinct now was in the mammoth's belly. So they're going to try to bring it back. There was a lot of things they found out about that particular thing. I don't know what actually happened to all of them. Now it's been a while now, but I was amazed nobody put them in any like frozen zoos anywhere or anything. I guess they decided to hack them all up and do whatever with them. But it is interesting to have seen that. And it was weird. They never could figure out how exactly they got froze. Some people thought they were walking on an ice sheet and then dropped in sub-zero water and it froze them. I'm like, well, if it was sub-zero, it'd be frozen.
Yeah.
I said, so, salt water is different because it's hard to freeze salt water, but still, I mean, if they got in and got out, maybe they just froze in, but that's not how they describe it. They describe it as like it froze so fast that it didn't even crinkle the flowers in their stomach.
Yeah, they froze so fast, I'm not sure they even died instantly. They probably may have had brain function for up to 10 minutes after that. It was strange, yeah. But John, the reason we bring all this up is because you're looking at these places and you're thinking the Egyptians believed in extraterrestrials. They talked about beings from the heavens. The Sumerians talked about beings from the heavens. The Dogon talked about beings from the heavens. The Toltecs, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incans, all of the Native American tribes, all of them talked about the people who come from the heavens. And they're not talking about gods. They're talking about beings. I can assure you in the audience of this that the word Anunnaki absolutely does not mean those who from the heavens came upon the earth. Doesn't mean that at all. It actually refers to either the bloodline of Anu, or more correctly, the way I've translated it is of the sons of Anu. That's what that means. It's about their story.
It's a different thing, people. And, it's like us. I mean, we went and screwed around in Africa and brought them big cigarette lighters and T-shirts and fast food stuff and quick, MREs and shit like that. And that's just us. You think about a race that's, 10,000 years or a million years older than we are coming here and showing us stuff. They can only give us a little bit at a time. I mean, we've talked about this before, but the computer generation may have been a fluke.
Yep.
The fact that we found the chip from Roswell, or we got a chip out of that chip at Roswell, may have been what started the computer generation.
Well, and the fiber optics, because I mean,
And fiber optics,
almost all computer networks now are optical.
Yes, they use. Well, my other place before I moved here, all of my connections I was with, I had Uverse, and they had all optical connections, all fiber optics from my computer port all the way to where they broadcasted from. I loved it. It was so freaking fast. It didn't glitch. Man, it was just fabulously fast. And it didn't cost hardly anything. I mean, you were getting like 500 megs up, 2,000 megs down, and it was just cheap. No, you can't. You try to go get that speed from your cable company, they'll be looking at you like, oh, I hope you own a money tree, buddy.
They'll be charging you out the wazoo.
But the more you get into this and the more you look at our history, the more times you find. So there's a story in Persia, in ancient Persia. This is during the Crusades. And this is written by the winners and the losers, by the way. So the Crusades had surrounded this city, and they had it surrounded for 3 years, and they were trying to get into it with no luck. They were trying to starve the people out and everything, but obviously the people were doing okay, and they were steady fighting every day. And then it was like 3 years and a day into it, and one afternoon, actually one evening, and the way they describe it on both sides was a blue shield came up and floated over the gate and blew the freaking gate apart, blew it into pieces. And then the invading army came in and took over. Well, the most interesting part about that is the losers and the winners recorded the same way. So that means it was a fact. Something came to this city and blew this gate. It was something hovering in the air that blew the gate wide open. Now, I have no idea why an alien would have interfered with that, or what means, or what was going on there. Or maybe somebody needed, I don't know.
Is this the one with Alexander the Great, or is this another one?
I don't remember. It might have been.
There's two with Alexander. So Alexander, he goes to Persia, and I forget the name of the city, but he goes to attack the city, and shields appear in the sky and like kill his elephant herd. So they retreat, and they decide not to attack that city. At some other point, the Persians come to wherever Alexander's army is to try to attack him. And I don't know if it's the same shields, but another group of shields shows up and decimates the Persian army. And Alexander wins. So there was some sort of, whatever reason, they were trying to push certain people to be leaders and make, this guy's going to die, this guy's going to continue moving. They were altering our history at that early stage.
Well, I mean, if Alexander would have survived, he had already conquered the known world. If he had lived to be an old man, he'd have conquered the whole world. We may be a one world government now, a one united world. So I mean, we might have been a one world government.
Isn't that what they say it would take for there to be full disclosure? Like, because if there's so much division on this planet, how are we expected to find unity with other civilizations on other planets unless this planet itself has learned to get along with its own inhabitants?
It's probably why we don't get into deep space. We're not ready to make friends yet. We can't even play nice with our own friends.
We can't even share our own sandbox. So,
and I really think that's going to be one of the things. I think now, I think they're going to let us start going out into the solar system, mainly because we just need it for expansion reasons and mineral reasons. But I don't think they're ever going to let us out of the solar system until we actually behave ourselves.
They need all that sweet diamond and platinum and gold off the asteroids.
I mean, come on, that one asteroid is worth, what was it, 400 times the wealth of the entire planet.
Isn't that the premise of wasn't that what they were doing in the movie Alien with, back in the day with Sigourney Weaver? They were just on a job. It's not like
they were towing a mining facility, but they didn't ever say what they were mining.
Oh, well, I mean, what else could they be mining?
No, anything.
It could have been uranium.
Resources.
Who knows? Yeah.
Could have been something new off the periodic table. I mean, we forget, but the periodic table started out small and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And another 10,000 years, there's going to be 200 or 300 items on it. As we get into deep space, we're going to find more and more and more stuff.
Especially if we go to another solar system, because we don't all the elements that are out there that we don't know about aren't in this solar system. So we have to go out to find the rest of them.
And they're
I
pretty
think
sure
people are out
different
there looking.
stars are going to make different stuff. What was that, Beth?
I was just saying, I think humanity on a whole, like if you try and think about all the billions of people on this planet and what we're all actually doing, you know, as a whole, as one organism, trying to figure out where we come from, what is home, where we're going when we're not alive anymore. And some people are very convicted and hold strong testimonies for one religion or one belief system or one any type of, you know, not non-religion. You know, there's people who don't believe in religion at all. There's nothing that comes after, but there's so many people that believe what they believe, and I think there's I don't know, something to do with that, you know.
And that may be part of the problem. Yeah, and that's probably part of the reason why the aliens are all still here, because they messed us up. We got the Anunnaki gave us one set of, let's just say, gods to rule. The reptilians gave us another set. The Greys have given us another set, and the insects have probably given us another. And we have all these different religions that are based off of these different ideal sets, even though they're from the same people.
Isn't it the same story, just retranslated
it's the same
over and
story,
over?
just taken from different perspectives.
I think, you know,
and that's what's separating us, because the top three religions, you know, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they all study this. They all share the same first 5 books of the Pentateuch.
Well, maybe what's separating us is the fact that there's generations not being indoctrinated into these belief systems, and therefore they're creating their own realities based off of what video games they're playing or what movies they watch or what books they read. And for thousands and thousands of years, the only access that people had was the Holy Bible or whatever religious texts their authoritarian figures supplied to them.
Well, you know, it's funny. If you go back 50,000 years, there was probably some type of worship on the planet, whatever species we were at the time. And it was probably a singularity thing to whatever tribe you were part of. And then as time progressed and the tribes got together and merged and those religions grew, but none of them, Christianity, so Christianity is fairly new in the grand scheme of things. It's less than 2,000 years old.
I was thinking about the fact that there's islands that have been completely just no introduction to modern technology or books. Probably they have their own fables and their own myths that they believe in. They base a lot of stuff off the stars and the mapping of the planets, or however the seasons go, you know, when they're able to grow their own food. Mm-hmm. And there's still a belief structure that keeps them united as one tribe, or like one
because they're
sect of peoples.
It helps with those kind of civilizations because they're sequestered. They don't have access to the rest of the world, so they all have to be of one mind, one purpose. But we have all these different religions that are reasons, you know, given to us by the different alien entities that come through. Those the 3 main ideas: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. They still collide and conflict with each other, but they come from the same base stories. And I don't understand why that schism was either put there on purpose by the aliens, or it's something that we put there on our own because we're just.
So what that really is the control of men by man. So
thank you.
God doesn't control the religions; we control the religions.
And there's this thing called free will, right? And if there really is a God, he's like looking at us all like, okay, you're using your free will for what?
Well, so if you were to go read, there's a couple of old Bibles of 800 AD, 890 BC, AD. There's one like 400. If you go read these, one of them's in Latin. The other one, I forgot what it's in. It's not Latin notes. It might have been Greek or Aramaic, but they don't read like anything like the Bible today. Matter of fact, a lot of the books that are there, you can't even find in any Bibles anywhere today.
Right. It seems to me that looking back in history, that book has been used as means to control and brainwash in certain aspects of
Well, that's
life.
what it's used for.
Yeah,
Because the
first
Bible was written by men for the control of men. That's what it was
Right.
written for.
Yeah.
and it was written with 84 different books or 84 different chapters. The current King James version only has 62.
Well,
and we got down because somebody wanted to get divorced because it was illegal to get divorced before that.
And then they also take out all of the books that have anything to do with women being in power or women being a lead character or performing a main role in a story.
You don't want to know what that is, though? You want to know what that is? Because y'all effed up really bad. So most people forget this, but women control the planet first time around, not men. All the surnames go back to women. Most of the villages had women that were running their villages because the men was always going out and hunting. Matter of fact, that's how you even track lineages, was by the mother's name, not by the father's name. That's why they thought Abraham was like 900 years old, because they were tracking the lineage through his mother's side, not through his side. And
was it really just not to keep men in a patriarchal role, like patriarchal?
No, it was just the way it started. Men were worshiping women at the time for whatever reason. It was all over the place. It was just a thing. But women don't like to talk about it. Nobody likes to talk about it because it's so far back in our history that it's hard to even, it's barely even in our root memories anymore, but it's still there. It did happen.
Some schism happened. We just don't know what it is.
And then men just took over because they realized they were bigger and more powerful and they could do whatever they wanted. And they just abused the situation. Not always, and not in every species, not in every group, but it did happen a lot.
Yeah.
And then they started building empires. And then empires collide with each other because they don't have, it's not that they didn't have the same religious beliefs. They use that as an excuse. Mainly it's because Jim over here had all his playing ground and Mark over here had all his playground, and he wasn't giving up his freaking playground. And that's just the way it was. So we got into wars over it. It's the same thing that's going on right now to Ukraine, and this ain't over religion. This is over just territory. And a lot of our things we've blamed on religion, but it really had more to do with territory than it had to do with religion. And even in the Middle East, the Palestinian war isn't over God. It's over space. It's over. The Hamas wants to control Israel, and Israel's like, screw you, buddy. We're not leaving.
It's becoming a religious war based off of how people are reacting to it. When
they can react however they want, it'll still just be a territorial war, though. In the end, when you sit down and do just the stats and just what's going on, it's a territorial war.
It's a territorial war in the physical sense, but once it becomes something of your mentality, and people are being prejudging prejudice in a way just based off of one side or the other, what one side believes or the other, when there's multiple videos showing racism and prejudice and whatever you want to call it on both sides.
Well, so remember this, Dan. You got to remember something when you talk about this stuff. It was funny the other day when somebody said, what were they doing? I was watching this thing about the French Museum and how they got some of this stuff. And some guy said, oh, yeah, the story. He said, no, the spoils of war are the spoils of war. It's not the same as stealing. Well, this is the same thing when it comes to Israel. You walked in and killed and stomped a bunch of their babies to death, so you pretty much gave them the right to do whatever the F and hell they want to do. And until you either surrender or give you these people, they're not going to stop. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with people who were murdering babies and teenagers, and the Israelis just, it's like anybody would do. Any father or mother, if they watched a bunch of their kids get killed, they would not stop until every person involved was dead. They would just not stop. And that's where we're at.
I'm not saying none of that stuff never happened, but I'm acknowledging the fact that that's what's being said on both sides. It's like they're saying the same thing about each other. What you just said happened.
Because it's true. This isn't a lie. Israelis are being shitty and killing people left and right, and they've killed innocents, but the innocents know. It's not their fault that Hamas puts their cells in schools and hospitals. That's not the Israelis' fault. That's Hamas.
Is it the people's fault who are dying in any other war, who are sent out to do somebody else's bidding when they don't know what they're getting themselves into? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, it's
never the person's fighting fault. It's always the person who sends you out to die's fault. And it's not even always their fault. It's the guy above them a lot of times fault.
So if this is a general consensus where we all know that the persons responsible for the deaths are sitting in some grandiose office somewhere, raking in the bucks. Why can't that come to a stop? Like, why can't we just be like, okay, the one person to blame here is yada, yada, yada?
Because Hamas won't stop killing people. They're still killing Israelis. They're still sending bombs over there and killing Israelis. They're still sending missiles into Israel. And every time they go into Palestine, they're killing Israelis. And it's worse than that, though.
But
from Iran.
Who's supplying these people?
Iran. Iran's got like 3 or 4 militias out there.
And most of
it's not even just Hamas, man. I mean, there's a couple of them out there.
And I guarantee you, a good bit of that equipment is from Afghanistan.
This may or may not be related, but I was told recently that the terrorists, or whatever you want to call them, that were on the 9/11 planes were from Palestine. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think we went and blew up Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan?
But that's not Palestine. Palestine is Palestine. Iraq is not Palestine.
Well, because they were terrorists. Just because they were from Palestine means they were terrorists of whatchamacallit.
They were working for the ISIL. And I don't know if they were all Palestinian, but I do believe they all left for America from Palestine.
Yeah. So it's anytime you kill, especially when you kill Americans, we're going to kill you. That's just how it is. Everybody should learn their lesson. If you kill one American, we're going to come kill you. Now, this has been a weird war because Joe Biden hasn't went and got our people back yet. They're still
anything.
Well, he can't, but our government could have already been over there. Congress could have already said, "Look, you're holding American hostages. We're going to bomb Syria and Iran into extinction until you give them back." And I guarantee you, the first time bombs fell on freaking Iran, they'd be going to give them back.
But see, the first time bombs fall on anything, that's when other of their allies start dropping bombs too, and it just
not
becomes
against us.
one
They
bomb
won't.
off.
No, they're not going to drop bombs against us. They might do it against Israel, but they're not going to do it against us.
Yeah, they might attack one of our smaller allies, but there's no retaliation here in America.
Yeah. China's going to stay out of it altogether, and
well, they should, yeah.
Yeah, and Russia might get involved because Russia and Iraq and Iran are friends, but this is what the Middle East remembers. They remember we walked into Iraq, and in 6 months, they were surrendering.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they remember. We had air superiority in less than a month, and
they had air superiority within the second day.
Technically, we did, but I'll just being nice. But then, within 2 months, they were handed over to divisions because they were just scared we were going to murder them off the planet, because we were. Playing with Israel is not the same as playing with the United States.
Yeah.
We will, if we're coming to kill you, we learned our lesson. Vietnam taught us a valuable lesson. You don't go to war half-assed anymore. You either go to win or you stay out of it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're staying out of this Israel and Ukrainian stuff.
It's all in or all out. There's no other choice.
Because we'd have air superiority in Russia in less than a month. Russia wouldn't even know what to do with themselves. They'd be like, what just happened to us? Mm-hmm. And we'd sink most of their fleet within the first 3 days. It's different. That's why we stay out of big stuff. And but Iran, if we found out Iran was 100% directly responsible for deaths in Israel or American deaths, we may go after them. As it is, we're going to sanction them out of existence anyway.
Yeah.
But we will. I mean, Iraq and Afghanistan speak volumes on how fast America can wipe something off the face of the planet. And let's not forget, Iraq had a 1 million-man army. They were boasted the third largest army on the planet.
Largest army. And
we still went in there and kicked their asses like it was nothing.
We didn't even have boots on the ground until like the third day anyway.
Yeah, we were playing around. After Norman seen how easy it was to blow shit up, he was like, yeah, let's let the CNN guys have some fun for a couple of months, watch them blow shit up. That was I had all kind of respect for CNN back then. You watching these guys hang over the balconies, cruise missiles going by like 10 feet away from them, racking out whole sections of the city. It was horrible. And again, the aliens didn't stop that.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time,
World War II, they didn't stop World War I.
And they observed. There's no doubt that they observed. We know because of the Foo Fighters in World War I and in World War II, they were observing.
There's a 1945 picture of, I'm not sure which one. No, there's Nagasaki or Hiroshima of the plane, our B-29 flying away from the explosion, cloud of smoke. And then on the other side of the smoke, mushroom cloud, there's a white light right in the middle of it, observing.
Yeah, they just it's different. I get people all the time who tell me they've had contact, and they'll always give me messages like, "Oh, they're here to save us." And I said, "Have you looked around at the planet lately?" I said, "The aliens been here a long time." I said, "They're doing a piss poor job of saving us." And of course, there's other people. Well, they're wiping us out. Well, no, if they wanted to do that, we'd have been dead millions of years ago, not now.
Dead. We wouldn't even we wouldn't have this conversation.
So
right now.
Sometimes you just have to look at people and go, "No, that's not what they're here for." And I don't think they're here to directly enlighten. I really think because the Sumerians created the original subservient race, and the Sumerians interbred, and then later on the Greys got involved, probably when we got Rh negative. They realized they screwed up. They can't leave us unattended now. Somewhere along the line, we've got the DNA of all three races now. Somewhere along the line, we're going to surpass them.
The technology of at least one or two of those species as well.
We're going to get to the point in 1 million years, or 5 million years, or 10 million years where we've surpassed, a couple of them, and then the Greys it'll be 500 million years before we catch up with them. But still, the other two races, 1 million, 2 years, and so 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. I don't know. It depends. It depends on how much we grab along the way. To be honest with you, how fast it gets there. But we're moving a lot faster than we were. And with the quantum computers being released now, we will be doubling our knowledge every 16 months. The world's knowledge, the total package of knowledge in the world will start
that's if you have access to that kind of technology.
No, everybody gets access to that. This is just stuff that's being changed.
If you got the money to buy it.
No, everybody's got a cell phone. It's so
that's
this
not
is
true. Not everybody has data on their cell phones. Not everybody.
Well,
has
but almost.
On their cell phone.
Yeah, but the majority of people do. And if you live in cities like Philadelphia or Boston, places like that, the internet is free. You just turn on your computer.
But that's not rural America. That's not quintessential
rural
United
America.
States
You got to pay for it, but rural America, let me tell you what, they got cell phones in prison.
Yeah.
In this country right now, all over in prison, in big prison, little prison, all over, they got their cell phones. After they're in for X amount of time, you can get cell phone use, recreational time with your cell phone, and they have free Wi-Fi in the prison. And some of the prisons even give you computer use. So what I'm saying is right now I think there was some ungodly amount of cell phones, like 780 million cell phones in the United States, and anybody in the country can get a phone. They can get a free one, but you're not going to get more than 500 hours of talk time and maybe a couple of 100 gigs of data if you're lucky.
A couple hundred. Try a half a gig. Try 0.5.
That's BS. There, that's because you live in Illinois. So that's why third shittiest state in the union, behind New York and California. Some states are just shitty, and that's one of them. Johnny, don't get mad at me. I didn't make Illinois like that.
You want that free stuff? Then you might as well get used to not having anything, because that's what you get.
Well, down here, they will give you 500 hours a month and data. 500 hours, 500 hours a month and talk. And I wanted like 250 gigs in text. And so they give you quite a bit. And you have the option to swap the phones out every 8 weeks or something. Oh, every 6 weeks. That's right. Every 6 weeks. So it's kind of weird the way they do it.
Same phone for like years. The same phone. And I use this prepaid service, and the data sucks. I barely have connection. I have to. I'm literally driving around right now just to be able to find like a couple of bars.
So right now, most of the companies are giving you $20 to $25 a month for your unlimited talk and data. Now, if you got a phone, that's all it is $25. But if you got to buy a phone, then that's going to go up according to whatever phone you get plus tax. But $33 a month can get you a decent phone and talk and data unlimited. So it's just getting to that point financially wise. What do you mean? What do you mean? What I pay for my phones? I pay it, but I have 4 phones, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes the support. That takes like having a reason to wake up in the morning and actually, like, you know, that takes like a 2-income household where you're splitting bills, and there is this country isn't designed for like a single person to survive.
You
Yeah,
can't.
and you know whose fault that is?
It's not ours, is it?
No, it's women's fault again.
What?
All our
Yes.
fault.
Yeah, listen. Before, and this is a fact, you don't take my word for this. Before women entered the workforce, one man could support a family of 5, buy a boat, buy a truck, buy a house, go on vacation. One guy. That's what he could do. As soon as women entered the workforce, all of that changed. Then 2 people couldn't even do what the one guy was doing before.
So you're saying World War II killed a single person economy?
Yeah, because wasn't that when women had to go to work to?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
They didn't have to. They that was different, and they were getting paid, but they didn't have to stay at work when they went back. A lot of people just chose not to go back to being housewives. They chose to get into society, and that allowed all the people to say, "Well, look at all this money now." So they just kept going up, going up, going up, and going up, and going up, and going up, and it never balanced out ever again. It was simply that. It was simply just letting half the women in the country get into the workforce. Once they did that, it was over with. There was no more.
Am I just living in a world of women haters and like resentment?
That's right. They
women?
hate you. They hate you, bitches. What's that, John?
Well, y'all would
everybody loves women. Too. I think that's changing now. I think even that's changing now.
On the same token,
man.
Excuse me. On the same token, we can't live with them. We can't live without them. But whatever the schism was, whatever exploded when women were in control, whatever that made the turnaround, must have been a huge war or some kind of major disaster, because there's still so much like angst over man versus woman ruling the workplace. I don't really care one way or the other who's in charge, as long as you're not a dick. I mean, it's
you're muted.
You're muted. Put your mic on, Leah.
You're muted. You're
Put
muted.
Your mic on. Yeah.
I'm saying it's a damned if you do and a damned if you don't situation. A woman can go to work and work her ass off and still not get paid as much money as her male counterparts. Or she
not
can
so much
stay
anymore.
home and take care of everything while the man's at work and be called lazy and said, "Oh, you don't do anything. You're not doing enough." And so,
I mean,
I would never say that, but
it's partially what she's saying is partially true. But then there is the rare occasion. One of my good buddies, that he can't come to play games with us every Sunday anymore. He has 3 kids. His wife is the breadwinner, and he's a stay-at-home dad.
And that happens more and more these days.
Yeah, he's very rare.
It is changing. No, Chris. No, we were using that example. So the first thing we were using before the men were controlling, all the tribes were mostly women control. And then we were picking because we all got screwed, because when women entered the workforce, everything doubled in price. No, they didn't cause it. They just were going to go make it. What it should have been is they entered the workforce and everybody had a buttload of money, especially married couples should have had a buttload of money. They shouldn't be able to travel and do whatever they wanted, but the people the companies, whoever was in power at whatever big companies were in power at the time got greedy and said, you know what? Instead of charging 15 cents for flour, we'll charge 99 cents now. You're like 300% increase. And you've seen that across the board. And a microwave, what was in 60 was $9, and today it's almost $400. I know, isn't that ridiculous? The problem being is they took full advantage of women entering the workforce, and it screwed everybody. It just screwed everybody. It's and even though women were great employees, it allowed them to really just screw everybody over. They say, well, you know what? They got 2 checks now. We don't have to be nice anymore with screw vacations. Let them pay 3 times for what they were going to pay for it before. It just
and the other thing with the women in the workforce during World War II that they don't talk about either is that most of the women who were doing the difficult jobs, like manufacturing the tanks and making bullets and the chemicals for the bullets and whatnot, all the women did much better jobs than the men who were in those roles previously. Plus, the women were always on time and also didn't grumble when asked to stay later. So they had a better work ethic than the male workforce prior to them.
And you know what they got? Thanks for that, guys. When the guys came home, they all got fired. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. Oh, no, that's truth. When the guys all came back from the war who had those jobs previously, all the women got fired.
Yep, and almost every instance, the woman was fired.
Yeah. That's the thanks they got for saving our asses, because without them, we'd have been in a world of shit.
Without
people, you always talk about Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter, that's the one.
It's if you ever hear people talk about World War II and the way that we produce stuff, well, most of the men were fighting, so it was the women that were producing it. Airplanes, tanks, you name it, they were rolling them off, boom, boom, and great jobs, man. They were holding up on the fire, and that's the things they got for coming back. When the guys came back, they got fired. Yeah. They got big thank yous and big parades and all kind of stuff, but that was basically what
they still got that pink slip.
Yeah, they still got canned, even though they were the better employee. Yeah, that
feels like everything is a battle. There's like war happening all over the place, not just in a.
That's because the aliens love us and want to see us trial and error and make it to the great beyond, the fifth dimension. Yes, there we go. The fifth. Who said me that?
I think it's more than that. I think what actually happened is like you said earlier, that whichever one it was, either the reptilians, possibly the Greys, whichever one gave us sentience, the higher thinking brain. At that point, we were no longer an animal. We're now considered an advanced species, like the Greys, the reptiles, and what have you. So maybe that's why they're still here. They have to fix that. They have to get us to a point where we can be on our own without destroying ourselves or venturing too far into the universe and getting ourselves destroyed. Because for whatever reason, they like us. All three races may have issues with us, but all three like us.
Well, with the Greys, we're probably more like your favorite Chihuahua or something.
Right. I mean, it may be a favorite pet thing, but we still are in favor with these three races right now. And
the reptilians have this family connection, so they do think of us anyway. If you're in their group, they consider you family, but the humans don't. The humans have some they like, and everybody else is like get treated like trash cousins that go to the party and cause trouble. That's just going by the contactees' actions and reactions.
They're just a lot more cliquey, the human species. That's all. I mean, look, our species is cliquey. You ever go into high school? Remember high school?
I can't handle it.
Yeah, there were like 15, 20 different cliques in high school.
No, school, I had good experience.
That mentality, I can't understand. I don't understand.
Because see, that's a difference right there, my young Padawan. So when I was going to school, I wasn't part of any of the cliques. And you know what Joe did? Joe made his own clique. Joe said, screw this. I'm going to do it like this. And if you don't want to be friends with me, that's fine. Just don't be friends with me. But eventually, it took a little time, but eventually I developed a following of friends, and now that following's turned into 4 million weekly viewers.
4 million weekly.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. Only I didn't get into a clique. I didn't start a clique. I just got along with everybody, no matter what clique they were in.
I never was cliquey. I never did like it. And then, matter of fact, when we started the UFO Phenomena group, one of the things after about 2 years, it had become very cliquey with the different admins. They had their little groups, and they were very picky about this. And I finally just had a fit one day. I said, I'll just fire all y'all and start all over again. I said, because in the end, we're here to serve. We're not here to kiss each other's ass. We're here to help the people who are coming here who are having bad experiences or just need advice about their experience. That's what we're here for. We're not here to kiss each other's ass. And it caused a lot of problems, but it's true. And as far as today goes, if I would let my life go that way, I'd have a lot of friends around me and be very cliquey. I just won't let my life go that way. It's because it's not who I really am. Deneen, that is true. I did spend 3 days and 38 hours of testimony under polygraph. Yes. 38 hours, yes. Yeah, what is idiot boy that went up there? Greer's boy. I think he gave like 4 hours or some big wuss, lying son of a bitch. Um, Koresh, I don't believe anything come out of Koresh's mouth. Not anything. I don't
Yeah.
really believe Greer most of the time. So anytime you charge $4,000 and $5,000 for a spiritual enlightenment of extraterrestrial visitation, I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, I treat David Grush and Stephen Greer the same as I feel about what's his name, Giorgio. Giorgio isn't. They're not true researchers. Any of them. They're basically they.
But
just,
you know what the difference is with Giorgio? He'll tell you I'm not a researcher. He'll tell you I'm a TV guy.
He's a TV guy. He's a book editor. He came across this information editing Eric's books for different languages, particularly from going from like French to Austrian and so on like that. So he did all these different like five. He could speak 4 or 5 languages, and he did 4 or 5 translations of that book, and that's where he gets his information, where he got the bulk of his information. And he brought it to the limelight. He did a lot more for it than any other researcher I've ever known. He's gotten so much into the limelight that almost everybody's heard of his TV show. But Greer and Garush, all they're doing is spewing what they've either read, seen, or been told. They didn't go out on their own to look for this information. It was given to them, and now they're rehashing it in public venues.
Well, that's the other thing that aggravates me, how much of ICAR's information gets used by others all the time. It just irritates the crap out of me. No, what do you mean? Okay, Stephanie. So I've interviewed Giorgio Sukliov, I don't know.
Sukulos.
Half a dozen times, maybe closer to a dozen times. I hung out with him. He did a 2012 party, End of the World party in New Orleans. Remember, y'all forgot 2012 was going to be End of the World. Well, we're all still here 12 years later. Obviously, that date was wrong. I told everybody the date was wrong, but y'all just kept on, it's going to end. It's going to end. So anyway, I hung out with him at a party he gave in New Orleans. It was a great party. And him and I had talked about quite a few. He got good and drunk, too. We talked about a lot of stuff, actually, but I said, one of the problems in the field, and he said, yeah, everybody wants to say you're a researcher, you're this, that. He said, I'm not that. He said, I do TV and stuff like that. He said a couple other things he did. He said, but I'm not and he mentioned a couple of names of ufologists I'm not going to mention that say they do research, but they don't really do anything. He said, and he's like us in the way that we have a team of people that do research for us now, and that's what he does. He's got a team of people that give him research. He goes over the research with the people, sees what's good, sits down with the producers, and comes up with that week's show.
He takes what he likes and discards the rest. Exactly, yeah.
What's that, Randy? I've been on Ancient Aliens 4 times. Well, I've been on 2 as a guest, as a featured guest, and in a couple of times, actually more than twice, just where they've taken stuff that I've said, doing interviews, and used them in other shows. Because every time I go with them, the first time was like 15-hour interview. They used 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. Next time they used like 4 minutes and like 10 hours. And next after the time, I think they used 3 minutes and it was like 8 hours. So literally they had 30 hours of good material for me. So they don't even have to talk to me ever again. They just like grab a piece. Because they have a set of questions they ask and you go through the answers. And they like me because I'm very straightforward with my answers and very well informed. So it makes it, and I speak in such a matter-of-fact way, it makes it hard to argue. Because I've done a lot of research. That's why I can speak that way. It's easy when you know what the hell you're talking about. You're not going to always be right. You have to keep that in mind. When you're talking about this, there's been several times since I've been National Director of ICAR that I've had to go change stuff. Things that we believed that turned out not to be what we believe.
Same here.
It just happens. I mean, it's like when I got into the field, we always thought the Greys worked for everybody else. We didn't find out till later, like a decade and a half, that everybody was scared of the Greys, and the Greys worked for the light beings, and everybody else bowed to their happy asses. That was a whole new reality. I'm like, well, wait a minute, that changes the way you look at the reptilians and the humans.
Because since I've been doing this since I was 11 years old, I'm 57, so anyone who's good at math can figure that out. But throughout that time, the Greys are good, the Greys are bad, the Greys are good, the Greys are bad. No matter how many, I don't know even how many times it switched, but no matter how many times I looked at it, it always switched. Either people were saying that they're doing good things, and then next year they're doing bad things. And it could be 5 years where they're all good. The next 10 years they're bad. It's perspective. We don't have the full perspective yet. They may actually not really give one iota about any of us. But
they
they're
also
just,
say that we only see a fraction of the light spectrum, and
yeah.
we're limited on our own vocal and speech abilities by being taught, what we're taught in school instead of,
Well, not just that. Some of those things are put in there by the UFOs on purpose, so that our age span has been decreased by them, our intelligence has been decreased by them, and increased by them many times. So it's just another means of control.
To what end? I mean, I think that's the real question.
We got to get one of those aliens on this show and then ask them.
No, well, one of the ends is because we're talking multiple agendas anyway. But one of the ends is just to, first off, to help guide us into becoming a united species. And what's going to really do that for us? I made lots of predictions about how we were going to do things, and so far I've been right on the money. It's the way this is going to happen is by going into space. Eventually, they'll become a part of space that we cannot do alone anymore. See, right now, Elon's going to go to Mars without us. He's like, screw y'all.
Regardless of whether we give you
and other billionaires are going to go to space too. But sooner or later, the big people are going to start going to space. The United States and Russia and China and India and Europe are all going to start going to space.
Well,
and it's going to start causing problems.
We already have a space fleet, Space Command.
So it's going to start causing a problem, and eventually, because colonies are going to get so far away and get so isolated, you're not going to be able to be individual governments anymore. You're going to have to really be a planet that really starts to move in one direction on
like
how to.
The government of Earth.
Yeah, the Terra. That's probably what that's our real name anyway. It's not Earth, it's Terra. So
yeah, and our son's name is Sol.
Yeah, so I don't know why they call us Earth and the other way, but it is Terra and Sol.
If you look at any modern star map, it doesn't say. I don't think it says Earth anymore. I think it says Terra. But the sun, I don't even think it says Terra. It says the sun's name Sol, S-O-L, and then the next satellite out is Mercury, and that's Sol. Is
one.
It lowercase a or lowercase one? Lowercase one, and then there's Sol 2, which is Mercury, Venus, and then does Venus have a moon?
No.
Okay, so the next one out would be us. That would be Sol 3, and then our moon is Sol 3, lowercase a. And then Mars is Sol 4, etc. Just like that. That's how we're mapped on the star maps right now. Doesn't say Terra.
Yeah. So it's what's that, Frank? No, I mean that's the way it should be because that's what we are. So when we look at, we always look at planet Earth one way, but we're just part of the solar system, and it's a big solar system. It's not that little of a solar system. It's what is it, 200 light years across? 200? No, yeah. What is it? I forgot.
Our galaxy is 70,000 light years to 120,000 light years across.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot they bumped it to 160. I forgot about that. So
yeah. Well, it contracts and expands, I guess, which is why there's a range rather than a set number.
Yeah. Well, just recently, so at one time they were always saying we were 100 billion light years across, and then it went to 160 billion light years across. And then that was the very last time I heard NASA make a site about it. And then I haven't really looked since then. And then NASA got all upset when somebody proved that you can go faster and slower than the speed of sound. I mean, the speed of light. They got all upset. And Jupiter helped prove that, by the way. So as light approaches Jupiter, it actually breaks light speed. It's already traveling light speed, and Jupiter just starts pulling.
Going straight,
and then it's bending, and then it's pushing it out. It actually goes faster than the speed of light. It can be slowed and sent fast. I know, but scientists didn't want to talk about that. And right now, when we're talking about faster than light, anything, it's communications, tachyon waves, things that really haven't been invented yet that they're working on. New things they're found with the whatchamacallit, the collider, new elements they're finding with this thing is going to be allow us to speak. See, because people say, well, we go faster than light. Well, you know what? I hate to say this. I know it aggravates scientists, but I think we'll break light speed relatively shortly. Light speed is not going to be the problem. The problem's going to be is when you're traveling at light 5, that's 5 times the speed of light, you got to be able to see out, 100 million light years ahead of yourself. No telling what's out there. Little micrometeorites, wormholes, any frickin' thing. Space is a frickin' dangerous place. And if you don't know what's out there, you're going to end up dead. So you don't know where solar systems are, planetary bodies. It's just stuff we don't even know what's out there. So, and until we can chart everything or have systems that can see that far out, we really can't go. And it's worse than that. We have to have these things called inertial dampeners. So every time we approach light speed, we don't get squashed like a spot on the wall behind us.
Yeah. Squished just like a grape.
So
and here's another thing. We'll just go back real quick to the periodic table thing. It hasn't changed in years. The most recent change was 2016. Up until then, it had not changed since I went to high school. So 30, 40 some years. 4 elements were added in 2016, 8 years ago. And they were elements 113, 115, 117, and 118. When I was in high school, those 4 elements were all fictional. We thought they might be available, might be able to make them, but we didn't have them on the table yet. Now they are. So think about that.
So no, guys, that's and we're changing every day. So anyway, let me bring this up with us right quick.
This is the pyramids off the coast of Cuba.
Yeah, so let me put it where I can actually see it better. Why don't you let me bring it up there? Oh, I didn't want it quite that big. Oh, look, there's a house underneath it with a car. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I was looking at the wrong thing. I'm just trying to get it where I can actually move it around. So these are what we were talking about earlier. You can barely find these anymore. These are legit photos, by the way, guys. These aren't fake photos. These aren't AI. This is long before AI was even invented. So you can see these pyramids. Now, what's interesting about these pyramids, you're going to notice something. If you know your pyramids, you'll know these are not styled like Egyptian pyramids.
They're not Egyptian, and they're not Mayan either. They're kind of somewhere in between. You got a stepped pyramid there in the middle, and then sort of a double pyramid or a pyramid on a base right in the front there.
Yeah, and the front one, it's actually got a groove notch down the other side, like it with a mini spot on it. The other one just looks like a smooth pyramid. The one we're talking about at the very end, all the pyramids of Giza are supposed to fit inside of that pyramid.
Wow.
That gives you any idea how big that freaking
There's 27 pyramids on the plain of Giza. All 27?
No, they're talking about the 3 great pyramids.
The 3 big ones. Okay.
Yeah, the 3 big ones.
Still, though, the big one is what? 800,000 square feet?
Now, the 3 of them together might be able to house all 27 pyramids. I mean, you're talking, look how big that one in the middle is. It could easily house one on each side of it. So, but anyway, people, this one is on the front side of Cuba, I believe. Let me see. We'll find it here in a second. No, this goes back beyond the Toltecs. So this civilization would have existed. Now, what they're showing you here is different places. This is Cuba along the ridge, where there's different things. This looks like another pyramid over here. Mm-hmm. But everywhere you see a circle, there's some kind of city type thing going on. There's a lot of this stuff around. So a lot of people think this was part of Atlantis because Bimini Road's not far from there. And other things are not far from there. And Cuba was once attached to something. So they think that's a part of Atlanta. So they think Atlantis went on an angle, like from the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico across to Egypt. And when it sank, that's why some went to South America and some went to Egypt, because those were the closest places to it. And of course, you could tell in the buildings.
Well, the east coast of South America is somewhere on the west coast, allegedly, is where the Lemurians made landfall after their continent exploded.
So they have renditions. Now, you see, this is where this one is on Cuba. You see right here at the tip right here? Mm-hmm. There's another one right inside of here in this harbor right here. And then there's another one on top right here somewhere. There's 3 of these bastards. And, of course, this is the Yucatan Peninsula right over here. Of course, is where the great meteor hit and killed everything.
That's Chicxulub.
As a matter of fact, Benel just ripped through all of this just recently.
Well, so think about that. If that's where Atlantis was, where Cuba is now, and Chicxulub's just off to the left there a little bit, and that rock hits, bye-bye super advanced society. I mean, I don't care how advanced you are, unless you're at least of galactic status, that asteroid's going to kill you.
Yeah, and if you could have saved yourself by stopping the asteroid, you would have, so you did.
Or left the planet, but it doesn't seem that they did.
Yeah. So right here, I don't know, can y'all see that arrow on there? Yeah, you can. Okay. Yep. Right here, washing them along here, all kind of artifacts have been washing them here all the way to here for the last 15 or 20 years. So at first they thought these were coming off of Spanish galleons or something. Then they realized some of the stuff they had picked up was much older than that and had nothing to do with Europe whatsoever. So that they were kind of like, well, what the hell is this? And so, I mean, really and truly, there's some good stuff there. And see, these are just other pictures of it. Some of the inscriptions found and things that these are come off the pyramids. See, he's measuring rocks here, but these are subscriptions and pieces of stuff that you could see from this particular case. So, and then you see it over here, and then over here, and then like I said, over here. These were great cities. Where this was a huge city.
Mm-hmm. It probably still is.
Yes. This one is this the one I think it is. No, this is the coast of the northern coast of Cuba. So they're showing you all of this stuff. I mean, these were just massive pyramids. I mean, look at the guy measuring rocks here, but actually, you can see a road. It takes off through the pyramids and takes off this way out away from Cuba towards Bimini Road.
Behind them on the road too.
Wait, say that again.
Right behind that person that's holding the tape measure reel, is there a clay pot on the ground?
Yeah, right here, right there.
Yeah, it's a clay pot.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if it's clay, but it's definitely a pot of some kind. Because some of the stuff they found off the coast of Cuba, some of it they said has a composite feel to it.
What do you mean composite?
Composite, like composites we use today, like cups.
Like composite material.
Yeah, like a composite material based on something that's not natural.
So like a poured stone, a molded stone?
I think they meant like some type of plastic interwoven with some type of cloth or something. Whatever it was very light and very strong. They said it was bulletproof. You couldn't shoot it. Whatever it was, they brought a couple of them up. And that's the other thing. It didn't even show any degradation from the water or when it hit the air. Because most artifacts, people, when they hit the air, they start.
Is it an amphitheater with the big red arrow?
That's what they're showing. Yeah, they're showing this as well. Yeah. So now this is done. Remember, this is an artist rendition right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So, maybe it's not.
I wish I could see it, but I'm on a tiny little cell phone, so I can't really comment on something that I can't.
So this one, well, yeah, it makes it harder. So this is more of that same city.
Yeah.
This is after it started. See, this is how it started. Then they cleaned it out. Started cleaning it out.
Yeah, different filters.
Yeah. So, well, actually, they went down there with one of those things and started sucking all the soot off of them. That's what my boy was doing with the yellow submarine. They had these things attached. He'd go through and go by and go through and go by. It'd either blow it off or suck it off and redistribute it away from the field.
Right.
See, this is, and look, see?
Clearly an Egyptian.
Clearly Egyptian. And then you see these big cut stones. I mean, look at this guy. Look at the size of the stone compared to this guy.
That looks a lot like Yonaguni in Japan, only shorter.
This is Cuba. Could be Atlantis is what this one says. This is Cuba underwater city. These are in Cuba, people. I mean, this couldn't look more Egyptian if a damn pharaoh got out and slapped you in the damn head or something.
It's got the is it the asp on the helmet?
Let me see.
Is he wearing a chin? Does he have the chin thingy? I can't tell.
No, he doesn't have the chin thingy.
No.
But this headpiece looks definitely
Tutankhamun-ish.
I mean, yeah. So we know what this is. This was something we did. This, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We put this down. This is more stuff of the song. They're trying to say this is Atlantis and this is this. Underwater structures off the coast of Cuba. This is huge. I mean, you can even see the steps going up this. These are legit pics here.
And it looks pretty close to the surface. I mean, like the top of that thing is like 50 feet underwater.
No, I think there says like 1,000 feet underwater. Gulf of Mexico is clear.
Not that one. 1,000 feet. You're not seeing the sun at the top of the ocean.
Oh yeah, in the Gulf of Mexico, you can see 4,000 feet to the bottom. It's crystal clear.
Oh, I don't know.
It's one of the weirdest things you'll ever see. If you ever go out to one of the they showed it doing the oil.
That certainly doesn't look like 1,000 feet. I mean, it could be, but it looks shallow.
Last I heard, the big city was in 2,000 something feet of water, and the one inside was at 900 feet, and the other one was at least 900.
That one looks like more like 900 feet. That doesn't really look like.
But it's a good ways down. It's not like it's just down there. That's why they had diving subs and stuff. They wasn't just,
Yeah.
It's and then you can see it in more details, and it shows you more stuff. But there's more places So this is the one we're looking at right now is right here. And like I said, there's one right here, which they're not
Mhm.
even showing right now. But the more you look through it, the more stuff you see. See, what is this?
Looks
That
like a
doesn't look
statue.
like, it don't look like no human hand. It looks like 3 fingers and 3 fat ass fingers at that. Now I know there's some stuff growing on here, but not that much.
Yeah.
It's you just gotta wonder. There's a causeway in there. Look at this. And then all of this got pulled for a long time. I mean, all of this is down there still, people, and we don't talk about this.
What if that thing with the globe is a real picture, not a fake? Because I mean, if that came out, that should have been spoken about. I mean, there's
This
no
right here, no, this is a real picture. This is a real picture. This is a fake.
Yeah.
This is a fake. This is a real picture. These are real pictures. This is a real picture. See, this looks like a typical Aztec Mayan pyramid.
Yeah.
But it's got something on top that's reflecting the light back up.
Yeah, maybe it had a gold or copper dome.
Maybe so. And see, here's cut in where you can see walking around inside of things.
Yeah, it's definitely man-carved steps, no question.
No,
That's
this is not ours, people. When you see this group of people, not we, but somebody else put these on the ground, and this is also something they put down.
Yeah.
This is about 6,000 years old, huh? Underwater pyramid discovered, 6,000-year-old pyramid underwater. Remember, people, anything, especially if it's under deep water, it's been a long time since it's
older
seen
than
daylight.
6,000.
Much, much older. I mean, as far as we know, there's been no collapsing of any continents in Jesus.
Yeah, so that's got to have been under there at least since the Younger Dryas, 12, 13,000 years.
Yeah, so, and then there's things like this. I don't think that's any of it.
That's fake.
And you got more of this. This is all fake. This is real. It's, I mean, the more you look at this, the more stuff you find. And there's a lot of garbage in here like this. And
But that mosaic floor, I saw those pictures. Those are legit real.
You know, so you can see a lot of the stuff in here that's real. You can see a lot of the stuff that's garbage. And I don't want to say garbage. It's just artist renditions. Is what it is.
People trying to make their own artist renditions of what they think they see. Yeah, see that mosaic floor? That's the kind of stuff we still do today.
Yeah, it's a beautiful floor, too. You see this piece over here. And I don't know what this is behind. You see the stabbing it or holding it. And then they were talking about this was some type of... they thought this might have been the fabled thing that sucked people under in the Bermuda Triangle, which, by the way, isn't that far from here. Well, next time I see a map, I'll show you where it is. But it's not. See all of this. I mean, see this. This is what is this? This is Sumerian.
That almost looks Chinese.
I mean, you got the bull with the thing on its head, and
the apis bull. Yeah,
this is definitely not Egyptian or Aztec or anything. It's this. I've seen this. Wait a minute. Where have I seen this? Maybe it is Egyptian.
I think it's Chinese, dude.
Give me a second. I've seen this. First time I seen it was in a stupid movie when Moses came back and they found them all running around. But I've seen this somewhere else. We'll have to check and see. What do you mean, Chris? I'm not ruling out what it is. It could be Chinese. It could be a lot of things. So we're not ruling it out. It could be Sumerian.
Definitely the apis bull, but the horn, the style of the squared off horns and the coin in the middle looks Chinese in its style to me. The bull the face of the bull looks Celtic.
It does. It's a very strange thing.
The front of the front end of a Celtic torque.
Now, as we're going along, people, these are actually other sunken cities. Oh, look, here's a sunken tank for y'all.
Yeah.
Here's a 20,000-year-old pyramid. This is probably the one off of Cuba, though. I mean, 20,000 years. I mean, people, that's man puts us much older than we want to talk about.
That looks like Yonaguni.
Let's see what we got here.
Top 5 sunken cities you need to see. I'll bet you Dwarka's on there.
Let's see if it'll let us. Come on, let us see them. Oh, maybe not. See, here's one right here. It's off some other coast. Where is this? This is the one off of Japan, I'm pretty sure.
It looks like Yonaguni, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely the one off
That's
Japan.
Yonaguni. Yeah.
Yeah. So people, you see this one we're looking at right here? Let me click on it for y'all to see it better. They said that Mother
That's
Nature did
natural.
this.
Yeah, it's nature did that. No.
Okay, you might convince me that some shear like these came off, but this,
Wait,
and
no,
this,
I have proof.
no, people, no.
I have proof.
Look how smooth
Look.
this cut is. This is impossible.
So they always say in nature, Mother Nature doesn't make 90-degree angles. Mother Nature doesn't make straight lines. Mother Nature doesn't do this and that. Well, there's a rock that you probably have in your water and definitely in your toothpaste. Fluoride comes from fluorite. Fluorite comes from a rock that comes in a rhombus, which looks like that.
Yeah.
You can get natural stones. This is a dice for Dungeons and Dragons. You can get natural stones in this shape. I think you can get them in fluorite. I think what's the other purple one? Amethyst.
Amethyst.
You get an amethyst.
Right.
Certain other not precious but semi-precious gemstones come in this shape, which has, if you can see on the dice, there are definite angles, there's straight lines and triangles all over the place. So Mother Nature does make weird stuff, just not Yonaguni weird.
It's just so many of these cities that are underwater now that we never want to talk about them anymore. They don't even want to teach about them in school, and they're legit. I mean, if it wasn't legit, I'd say okay, don't teach about it. So this was a well. That's what this is.
They teach you Göbekli Tepe in school, and that's a legitimate, real place too. And then there's also what's his name? What's Dr. Osman, who's opening up or studying the pyramid in Europe.
That's what this thing is right. Yeah, that's what this thing is right here. This is a well. I recognize these now, and it doesn't even look like it's made out of stone. It looks like it's made out of steel or something. That's about 3 or 4 of these that I've seen. See, there it is again. It's a different one though. These are wells. So I wonder if you dove them, if you'd find fresh water down there. Mm-hmm. So the more you look at these people, the more stuff you see that you've just got to go, what? See here, well, you can't see it from here. But anyway, see, this is Cuba. This is Florida up here. Right over here, starting from about right there, running off like this, and then coming back down like this and coming back is the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Right over here is Bimini Road going off this way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in this general area, like right here, that are suspicious, that look like they were made by somebody. Bimini Road, the stones are cut so well and laid. It's not that they even cut that well. It's the way they're laid and for how long they're laid. Naturally occurring just wouldn't have laid them out that long and cut them just like that. Yeah, and there would have been more on the sides and stuff. They just wasn't.
When it was first discovered, they thought perhaps it might have been a wall that fell over. Yeah, so then they discovered more of it, and then they realized, no, it's too long to be a wall.
Probably first concrete road, people.
Yeah.
It's
or at least cobblestone, because it's basically made out of cut stone.
Yeah. I think it's just big solid. That's another one that has big, huge pieces of stone, big flat pieces of stone for you to drive on. Somebody said, okay, well, we're going to fix this road up. Well, see, that's the thing, people. When the more you look at these, the more things you find, the more things you start to understand, the more you realize how much you've been being lied to. I mean, this city, everybody I've talked to told me the city is between 20 and 50,000 years old. There wasn't even supposed to be humans. What was that? Beyond the Stone Age. What was 50,000 years? Bronze Age? What the hell was it? Stone Age? It was somewhere around there, people.
Bronze Age was about 2,400 BCE.
Oh, shit. Then this is the Stone Age for sure. But the more you look at these, and look at this, 20,000 years ago, who the hell built this? You don't think aliens are visiting the planet?
What bothers me, who else would it have been? I mean,
what bothers me is how much stuff we've lost. So we've lost things like these and other ancient cities that have been destroyed or went away that we don't want to talk about. And then we lost things like the Library of Alexander and other places of information. It just seems like we make one step forward, 2 steps backwards.
Yeah, or
2 steps forward and 1 step. Yeah,
yeah. And someone drags us back those steps.
I mean, look at these cities. I mean, these are advanced cities, and a couple of these cities they found old wreckage of ships and stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
and
be
this
surprised.
is Mother
I
Nature
mean,
did
especially
this.
those
Oh
three that
yeah.
are around Cuba. Those are all like major shipping areas. I mean, so there's bound to be
Okay,
something crashing
people.
nearby.
This is another one. They said Mother Nature. This is the one in Japan, and they said all of this was done by Mother Nature.
I doubt
All the
that.
rounding right here, the rounding right here, the rounding right here, steps, steps, steps. I don't know why they're sideways right there, but cuts.
That's building,
There's
obviously.
no way this thing came
Yeah.
out like this. This was some kind of, I don't know what this was, but it was something. There does seem to be a couple of the guys call them sacrificial platforms, but they don't know if anything was actually being sacrificed or not because there's no, you
Yeah,
can't tell now.
it might amount to a Stone Age Mount Rushmore. Just to, they found this stone and they carved it and made it a tourist site.
What's that, Janine? No, I love women, but we had to pick. What is this? Well, because ladies get blamed for a lot of stuff that they shouldn't have to get blamed for. Like when we were talking about when they got into the workforce and everything doubled and tripled in price. It's not actually their fault because they actually got and started making money. They're going to help their husbands, help themselves. And in big business, said, oh, no, you're not. We're just going to take your money as free money. So what really happened is they decided they were going to take everything the woman made plus a third of what the man made before that you started actually being able to save money or go on vacations and stuff like that. Before, there wasn't like that. Before, America was designed so that people could succeed. They wanted you to succeed. Big business got in and that all changed. Oh, we'll get into that on Friday night, but it's just crapola. So this is more of the city we're talking about. And I mean, look at a diver. Compared to these stones, this dude is a dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
These things are huge. And here's a complex over here. I mean, everywhere you look, there's some kind of angle, slot cut, back cut,
Well, and plus
even
those
space
stairs, if they are
grinded
stairs,
down.
they're too tall for humans. They're too tall for 6 foot tall humans. So what does that say? I mean, whoever built it must have been taller.
Yeah, weirder. See, like this one's got nice
weirder.
edge. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, maybe they had ladders or something. But I mean, here they are swimming again. I mean, they're tiny. So this one, it looks like it might be a little bit small. I'd have to see the human. You could probably step on this one, then step on this one, step on this one, get up there. This is too tall. It's like some places there's small steps, some places I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the home of the giants. They do talk about giants living amongst us at one time.
Yeah. See, look at that. That's too tall for a human to stand.
Yes, and then look at these slopes. These are beveled down slopes, evenly done, spaced through the middle. I just see. There's a guy right there. Now he's about that height on that step, and he's about this height on this step, but this one's way bigger. It's and then when you get over here,
when you see the guy right on top of that step, there's no way he could walk it.
No,
you'd have to jump to each level.
Well, that's one of the reasons we like, when we tell people when they're looking at UFOs and stuff in the sky, always find something in the picture that you can help identify the distance and the size of the craft.
And scale, yeah. You got to get scale in there.
If you can get like a light pole in it or something, something that's going to be in the picture to give you something to look at, it helps. Trust me, guys.
It helps a lot. Substantial. Clouds don't work. It's got to be.
It can't be a cloud. It can't be a sun.
Tree, a building, mountain.
It could be an 18-wheeler or something if it's in the right position. It can even be a pole if it's in the right position. But that depends on how far away it is. If it's up close, you can get away with things like buildings and trees and poles. If it's off in a distance, you need something bigger. Because it's not that it's so you know how far away something is, so you can actually help to judge size. So if you've got like an office building right here and this thing's behind it and it looks tiny, 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 but there's a mountain range or something behind that, and you realize that the thing's just a long ways off. It's like when you look at something in a Gulf, you see the arc of the Gulf, which is, I think, 30 miles out from here. So even a big ship looks like a tiny little dot of light. But because of the curve, if you can see that dot of light, it's something substantially big.
And if they have enough information, they can triangulate where that craft was over the earth in that picture. If you have enough landmarks in the picture frame.
These stones over here are quite a bit taller than this one. This one here, he might be a little bit taller than the stone, but the shift sizes are different all over the place. There's divers all over here. Nobody who's been here thinks this was artificial, by the way, guys. And what is this? I don't know what this is. But that's artificial, guys. That's pareidolia, whatever they call it.
Pareidolia, yeah.
Yeah. And Jimmy, pareidolia means that it's just things.
You see
just turn into-
patterns and things that don't have a pattern. Like you see Mickey Mouse in a cloud. That kind
or
of
you,
thing.
you know, like a fire, you always see a face in a fire, even though you know it's not a face. See, this is all the information.
You make toast for breakfast, and one of them has the silhouette of Jesus.
And they have no idea, by the way, how long this has been here.
No,
None.
no clue whatsoever.
Not a clue. They know it's older than 10,000 years.
You can't date stone.
Yeah, they know it's
You
older
date
than
stone, find out how old
10,000.
the stone is, but we won't tell you when it was carved.
Oh, wait, is this over there
It
too?
looks like a Rapa Nui underwater, yeah.
They say this is over there too. I've never seen this before. It's the first time I've seen
That's
this.
a fake picture.
It's the guy sitting there looking at it, man.
That's fake.
And he's got measuring things on it.
No, that looks like leaves. Why would there be green leaves underwater?
No, that's not leaves. That's them things they put. They showed them earlier on some other picture.
Oh.
They use them for taking pictures, actually. I don't know what this is. This looks like something else.
It looks like it's the fin from his.
Oh, it is his fin, actually. You're right. Chris, it may be fake. I don't argue with Jay about these kind of things because you don't know. And look, this is before AI came out. Wait till somebody puts AI on this shit. Yeah, look at a little bubble trail. It shows you how big. See, they're standing up here. His guy's sitting down. These two are standing up. They're not even close to the top of the stone.
Yeah, no way.
But you got to remember, people, back whenever this was built, it might have been like chutes and ladders. There might have been little ladders and stuff all over the place on it. Little wooden steps, and because a guy was talking about he found what looks to be pole. There's one right there. As soon as I say it, pole holes, like there was a pole or something in them. Like there might have been a couple of them. There might have been a canopy over it or something
holding
like
a railing or something. Yeah, wow.
It looks like there's another one over here. So we don't know. But you don't see those kind of. Well, no, it just could have been a critter that jumped in. But it's a pretty hard piece of stone, I would imagine. So I don't know if it's a critter or not.
Regardless of who built it, it only tells us one of two things. A, either the human race is older than it is supposed to be, and at one point was more advanced than it is today, or two, there was another society here way more advanced than we are today that's gone or came from another place. Those are the only two explanations that we can get from this.
Yes. No, guys, it's true. Anyway, I know we got to get out of here. We done ran way over in time, but this is all stuff. This is all stuff y'all can go see. Now, look, this looks
like a rail, like a choo-choo train rail.
It's this. I don't know. So anyway, and this is just a handful. There's more than these to look at. We've only really visited 2 today.
Hardly scraped the surface.
Yeah, and there's 5 major ones, but there's more than even that. There's a bunch of them. And what I'm saying is, guys, is you need to get out there. You really need to get out there and look for yourselves. We'll get more in depth into the alien stuff, more into the modern stuff. I mean, we touched on the Sumerians and the Dogon, and we didn't really talk about the Egyptians or the Mayans or the Aztecs tonight. Maybe over the next few weeks, we'll just keep bringing them up until we get to modern time, and then we can get more in depth in this. If you got a favorite guest you want to bring on, let me know. We'll probably start bringing on guests. We're going to finish up this little series on from the past to the future, because I always tell people, if you really want to know the truth about maybe visitation, the best place to start is the past and work your way forward. And that is the best place. What's that, Gene? Oh, yeah. The very, very beginning, when man was living in tribes, they did the order through the woman's lineage. And she ran the village, and the guys did the hunting. And then I couldn't tell you when, but sometimes 3, 4, 5, 10,000 years after that, it changed. And the men just took back over, and it became, a shithole. Yeah. So we're not. No. I like to pick on Leo from time to time. It's you mean the thing about the jobs? No, that's true. It's not because it's not per se because of women, but y'all are the ones that got abused by it. Because when you entered the workforce full time, it gave these big companies. Yeah, wish ET would have intervened on that shit, huh? Where we at then, ET? No, we got to go right now. The Outer Realm is on. Yeah, with Michelle DeRoche. Y'all don't know who Michelle DeRoche is? You better not hear her say that. She'll fly up to your house and kick your ass. You better know who she is. She'll be like, "Who are you? You better know who I am." Let me see if I can find her guest right quick. Well, I don't even see her on. What's going on? on the live shows. Okay, live. I don't see her. What the hell's going on?
I don't know.
She's on. I know she's on.
Well, I wanted to go to put the show on before I came down here for Diane to watch, and it just had the UPRN banner. Nothing came up, so I don't know. Maybe Roku's down.
No, I hope not. I took me forever to find it. They usually at places like on YouTube, it usually places at the top. It was down like 4 rows.
Oh wow!
I don't know what that was about. What Frank? I was watching Roku earlier. I have if y'all are on, well, if y'all are on, y'all are not probably on a computer. So, but if you had a problem with it tonight, text me and let me know. And yeah, and her guest tonight is Jack Roth. The Da Vinci Code, the Holy Bloodline is what they're talking about tonight.
Oh, Merovingians.
Yeah, so y'all go check that out. The Outer Realm, Jack Roth, exploring the Da Vinci Code, the Holy Bloodline, on the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRochier and Amelia Pastano. I'll be messing up her name. She won't send me no more food. Speaking of which, that bitch ain't send me no. Wait, girl, I hope you listening tonight. Where's my food? Anyway, we gotta go. Jay, thanks for hanging out. Y'all be sure to catch Jay on Friday nights when he's over there. He's not always over there, but he is sometimes. I heard the other co-host the other night gave me a headache. I'm not gonna mention no names. Wham. But I love you, Wham. But your voice sometimes it hurts my ears. What's that, Frankie? None of what we're talking about you can find easily. Everything from the beginning of the show to now is available online. Yeah. You want to learn? Oh, excuse me. You want to learn about the Dogon? Just type in Dogon, and you'll learn all kind of interesting stuff about them.
You also want to look at the Jomon, Jomon. They're the same story in Jomon period Japan and Dogon Africa.
Yeah,
same
so
story.
Check them out. It's they're interesting things to learn about. Very advanced for back in the day. You got to kind of wonder where they were getting this knowledge from. I know they tried to say in the Dogon's case that some explorers gave them the knowledge of
Sirius A, B, and C.
And then, of course, they didn't know at the time because we didn't have a radio telescope yet.
We didn't even know. At the time we were talking to the Dogon tribes, we didn't even know about Sirius yet.
No, we didn't. That was the thing. And I remember I was at a conference, the guy was telling me, I said, dude, you do realize that we didn't have radio telescopes when they first went to visit the Dogon in, what was it, 1820 or 1850. I said, we didn't have radio telescopes yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know A, B, and they knew. And by the way, in case y'all don't know, C, we just found recently.
Yeah, and I was going to say, when we did find Sirius, we only found Sirius A and B, and they said, aha, see, there is no C star, so you're wrong. You Dogon people don't know what's going on. Then we found C, and we're like, oh.
But the things that really kicked it in was the Dogon's calendar is based on a 55.5-year orbit of Sirius A. Of B goes around Sirius A. It's a 55.5-year orbit. They knew the orbit to the day. How the frick come on, you'd have to have a computer to even calculate that.
Yeah, you can't do that without modern technology.
And then more than that, they knew if you took even a spoonful of debris off of that sun, it would go right and fall right through our planet. It was so heavy. They knew that. How'd they know the density of a star? And why did they know the density of a star?
Yeah, who's telling them?
I mean, some of this stuff you just got to kind of go like, and when you hear them talk about the stories, it's almost like somebody had gone there. Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. But we got to go and thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. Yeah, Jen, sorry we got a little off in a little politics there for a little while, but we straightened that out. At least we didn't talk about Trump or Biden, so that's for Friday night.
You just brought them up.
That's our. Oh, you mean Michelle and Trump? Well, we'll see it. We'll talk about that Friday night. Well, guys, as of right now, we are 3 months and 2 weeks out. You know what? Somebody said the debate was going to be in the second week of November. I thought we voted earlier than that. Damn, Alexa's off. I can't ask her, but
yeah, no. The election's November 5th, so it would have to be the week before.
They said it was 2 weeks. It was going to be 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks before the election was going to be the last debate. And that would be, the last week of October. No,
not just the last, the second and last.
Yeah.
I don't think they have
Well,
anything scheduled.
so it's mid October. Maybe they're doing a Halloween night. Ooh.
Yeah, that's too scary.
August, September, October, people. That's 3 months, and we're 2 weeks into, almost 2 weeks into July. It's three and a half months, and then we're election time. All I can say is go vote. Vote for who you think is the best person. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I think you should vote your conscience and your heart, and be the one that changes the world. You might be the vote that gets whoever is going to be there in. What? Oh, hold on a second. Let me look right quick. Last presidential debate. Let me see if it'll tell us. Oh, I should have never even said it like that. Stupid me. It went to the last presidential debate. I said that wrong. When is the next presidential debate going to happen? Sorry, my English is going fast. That was on June 27th. We already seen that one, guys. See, the damn thing don't even know. Let's see. No, we don't care about 2020. See, it don't even know yet. I don't know, guys. It's not giving us another date. Well, as soon as we find out, we will post it out on one of the websites somewhere, and you can find out. I don't know why it's not giving them. It just gave the first one, and it won't give the rest of them. Yes, don't ask me. Whoa. I'm not gonna tell you who I'm gonna vote for. Why would I do that?
All I'm seeing is Tuesday, October 15th is the next and only other scheduled presidential debate.
October 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. That there was only going to be 2 this year, and that one's supposed to be 2 weeks before the.
Here's another one that says their next debate September 10th, but that's after the election. So that's who wrote that? I see where you saw that, but I saw October 15th was the date, and that's a Tuesday.
Yeah. So what's that? No, Joe gave you the date. It was he just told you November 5th. That's a Tuesday. It's the first Tuesday of the month. That's how they
when
do
we
it.
vote. Yeah.
So that's so you got three. We'll just say 3.5 months. Yes, guys, 3.5 months. You got to make up your mind. Whoever you're voting's got to make up your mind. Get out there and vote. I say vote for the Grays. Just pencil in. I want the Gray. The Gray named Joe. Oh no, the Gray named Bob, because he's my friend. He lives right there. And we'll put Bob up there as president. Hello, I'm Mr. Bob. You see what happens when you don't
born
listen?
in America.
That's right. He's native born, people. He can run.
Hey.
What's that, Jackie? It's funny you say that, but there could be Grays, if they're real, that could have been born in the United States. So wouldn't they be native born Americans? Couldn't they serve as president? Well, wouldn't that be some shit?
Obviously, have a social security number. Otherwise, we can't give them their money.
Damn, man. Oh, that's too much. But we really got to go, guys. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. I hope you really enjoyed the show. Oh, well, you know what? You're actually correct, Percy. Thank you for watching UFO Paranormal Radio Network with UFO Paranormal Radio Network on United Public Radio Network with UFO Undercover with Joe and Jay and Leah. On that note, go watch The Outer Realm. Tell Michelle hi. Say Jay said, girl, I'm the boss.
No, tell her we said we're sorry for impinging on her show for 30 minutes.
Anyway, any moans, groans, bitches, complaints, or gripes, please address them to Michelle DeRoche, courtesy of Joe Montalvo and UFO Paranormal Radio. Good night, everybody, and go see Miss